I was saying, Maka, what are your thoughts when I was surprised when Kelly, the head coach, just left for a coordinator job for Ohio State? It just sounds weird for a
Yeah.
program like UCLA.
Like
Well,
Chip
That's
Kelly?
Chip
Chip
Kelly,
Hill, yeah.
yeah.
The one that
He
was in
left.
Oregon with Mariota and all
Why,
that.
why would he do that?
I have no
So
idea.
no one, unless you're there, you know what I'm saying? No one can really know.
Mm.
We can just kind of speculate. But from the outside looking in, so here was what's funny is he left as a head coach and went to be an offensive coordinator. So he dropped
Right.
down from head coach to be an offensive coordinator over at Ohio State. So that was already kind of weird to me. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's what makes it weird. He's a high profile
and then-
coach too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, a lot of coaches that were kind of there at Ohio State already, kind of established positions coaches, they left. And then some headlines were saying that they kind of didn't want to be with Chip Kelly or weren't getting along or didn't really rub them the wrong way. And a couple of them left right away, you know. But yeah, my thoughts on I was kind of happy because he kind of wasn't, just the way he was recruiting was kind of weird. It was kind of, I mean, he had his time and he didn't really do much other than a couple bowl games, but he was supposed to be that guy.
Supposed to
take
like
this
break through the next level. You
Yeah.
know, expect a run for a championship or something.
Yeah. So we're thinking Oregon when he was there, UCLA.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking. That never
Yeah.
transpired. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's still
But then
it's still weird. Yeah, it's still weird because UCLA is still
Yeah.
a big conference and a
Oh, yeah.
big branch. I was like, it was just
Yeah.
weird. I just wanted to hear your thoughts as a
yeah.
fan.
It was. Yeah, it was kind of. Yeah, bittersweet, but more bitter than sweet. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like I said, he had his chances, his opportunities. He did end up recruiting some good players like Latu in them, right? So
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Did you who did Utah play anyone today?
Yeah, Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State,
they
yeah,
won,
that's right.
won by 3, I think.
Yeah.
Utah won by 3.
Utah.
See,
And
man.
not only
See, that
not
was the
only
thing.
that-
They were the favorite for the whole time, and then last minute, everybody started to switch, and I was like, "What would have caused that?" But I'm glad Utah won.
no,
Yeah.
they won without Cam Rising. That's the surprising thing. So
Oh, that may have been one of the reasons why the odds switch.
Mm. Oh, he's playing. I thought he was injured. Or
No,
Was he
that's
hurt
what
last game, or-
that's what we're saying. Like,
oh, okay,
Cam
okay.
because Utah was the favorite, maybe when Cam Rising got hurt, because just this past week the odds went in favor of Oklahoma State,
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I'm wondering it's because with him hurt and Oklahoma State had a good game last week.
mm,
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the
Mm.
odds people
Hey.
were like,
looks like
Yeah.
BYU made the interception, another interception, and they're on like the 2-yard line. Oh yeah,
"Oy."
With that
Yeah.
BYU.
They're still playing right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
second half just started probably.
Yeah.
How about the Raiders, man? If they had a hard, you looks like you're a Raiders fan.
You know what I'm saying?
Must
You
be
know, I got
hard,
the head
bro.
on for a reason.
Especially to watch Carr now at New Orleans. Like all of a sudden,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
playing like top notch. What's going on?
I'm just a Raider faithful since a kid. It's kind of hard, but I'm just,
Somebody's got to do it.
yeah, somebody. Hey, man, there's a few of us, but just kind of like me being a UCLA fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rest of my family SC fans. You know what I mean? It's just I peguei foi para aqui, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, as a Raider fan, yeah, it's been hard because I'm like, man, at this point, I hope I see a playoff in my lifetime. Since the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, we take every win. It's like a playoff
Yeah.
win,
Yeah.
So we got
Yeah.
that Baltimore win at Baltimore. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
Dude, that's a big win, though.
yeah, because we're big underdogs on that game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Maria.
you guys follow any NFL teams or kind of more
Mostly
players?
just the
or-
players, more
Yeah.
players. Really bummed Tua got hurt again. I'm just
Man, what's your guys' thoughts on it?
Ooh,
It
I
can
don't
go
know.
either way. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, depends on how much money is already direct deposited into the bank account. I mean, if it's already like 10 million
Hey.
bucks in the bank account,
shit.
maybe it's time to call it good and go invest in some businesses. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know. The details of his contract or anything, or like I know, or how much he's guaranteed, or
Dude, a bunch of it. I think it was like what?
42 million guaranteed or something.
yeah.
No, because he's supposed to get 50 something, but then 42 a year guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's what's tempting. I mean, at that point, you're like, dude, 40 million versus 60 million. Well, it's the same thing if you just want to live a good life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only thing
Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I just want him to keep going a little bit because the weapons he has, like the time is now. If you're gonna go deep,
Yeah.
because
Good
once
point.
those guys are gone, I think then you call it. Maybe look
Well,
after
and the
your
thing is, man, I think he succumbed to the pressure of trying to make a play. He just needs to not run the ball.
Yep.
He just needs to
Yeah.
don't run the ball.
Yeah.
You know, but I think he was really trying to make a difference for the team. You can't blame him. You want to make a difference. Hey,
Yeah.
Clyde Moore, Owana, Malo,
Hey, what's
welcome.
5 more? Malo,
Hey, Noah, Malo, welcome.
I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully he can get his health together, man. Because a lot of people say, because when you get injured and you do the hand thing, they say that's the most severe concussion.
He's
Two
had
of them.
two.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think, hey, let him make that decision. I mean, I know the guy is thoughtful and he's prayerful. Let him make the decision. Like to
I'm
welcome.
good with either way.
Yeah, it's up to him. Welcome everyone to another live digital Kava session here on the Polynesian Eyes podcast. We're going live on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram. Oh no, actually, I need to put us on Patreon. I'm glad I said that. I'll work on that in the background. Go ahead,
Maka,
guys.
No, Maka, you were gonna say something.
No, I was gonna say, ang hali fa tonga, hey, I remember the guy going was smart, kinda. But I mean, if he has that desire, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
The guy has that desire to still play. That's gonna make it a little difficult to retire now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is he has the throwing capabilities to just be a pocket QB. So maybe if he can just be disciplined, come in.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's hard.
No, but the thing is, just you can't be down too much because because he was down, they were down 21 points. He was on that drive. They were kind of getting close to score. My man was just trying to do something, make something.
Yeah. I mean, you can't hate the effort,
Yeah.
Yep.
No, true.
Yep.
And I love Tua, man.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's able to stay healthy.
Yeah. Speaking of another Alabama alum, what y'all think about Bryce Young?
Dude,
man,
the thing is
like a bust or just a wrong system.
It's hard. It's hard, man. When you come from college, go to the NFL, and you're a rookie, you're expected to just come in and
start.
There's so much to building a team. You can't just expect one guy. It's like, hey, Nacho, Malo Lere, welcome to the digital live conversation. Nacho, Malo. JJ, why you gotta be
my shit? Jay, Malo Jay.
Hey, it's okay, Jay. Take a deep breath, drink the kava, relax, stretch.
Or Samoan, alo Giava.
I mean, I think we were having this conversation or text Mussy earlier today or yesterday. Like everybody is trying to jump on DJ Uingalele over there in Florida State and blame him. And I'm like, dude, he's one guy. He obviously is talented. You could make the argument he's underperforming, but dude, if I remember correctly, Mussy, we were talking about this like before that national championship game, like all the starters for Florida State had already gone into the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So they're not the same team that they were last year, but everybody's like, oh, they were like national championship contenders.
Yeah.
I would love to see how many guys that started on last year's team are still there. Because I don't think that it's the same team.
Well, my thing is, I'm thinking that Florida State, they still have some bad energy and negativity that what happened to them last year from not even going to the playoff. And I feel like that's carried over. In my opinion, I don't think, that, and also teams are a little bit more amped up playing against them because they're trying to get out of the ACC.
Yeah.
With the lawsuit. So all the other ACC teams, they're playing a extra motivated to beat Florida State. So
it
doesn't help.
Doesn't help. Hey, welcome, Dendis. Welcome.
Malo
What's up,
Dennis.
Dennis?
Let's go ahead and get started, man. We'll play
Okay.
the intro video here. Welcome everyone. I did complete the setup for Patreon, so we're on Patreon, Twitter, or X with our cousin Elon. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll go ahead and get started and get this Kava session rolling.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Yes. Double clap. All right. Let me get the right. There we go. Talo Falava. That one's for you, Jay, from wherever you're tuning in. Yes. This is another digital Kava session for the Polynesian Eyes podcast. We welcome you today. A lot of football going around, a lot of discussions. Also, the NRL's going through. We'll talk a little bit about some rugby news and also some boxing that's just popped up. But before we do that, we'd like to welcome our co-hosts here, Maka and Mr. Aotearoa. Maka, how's things in your neck of the woods? And then Masi, catch us up on what's new in New Zealand.
Right on. Nothing. Starting to cool down a little bit. Starting to get down to the nice weather. Like at least in the daytime, it's about. It went down from like we had quite a few 100 days down to 90s. Now it's in the 70s, but at night it's kind of 50s, kind of cooler.
Okay,
but that's good for work. Working outside. But yeah, Utah. Nothing really. Other than what we've been talking about, just the sports scene. Football's in town, so nothing. High school football, college football, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I was looking at the Provo game. I think they said that AccuWeather said it was 66 degrees. So that's perfect weather.
Man,
perfect weather to play some football,
Oh, yeah.
So
no excuse there as far as the weather goes.
Yes, sir. Mr. Aotearoa, what's up in your neck of the woods?
It's beautiful day here in Auckland, Manurewa, specifically where I stay. We're still in our kind of winter months, but we're at the tail end. But it's nice and starting to get to the spring here on our side of the world. But yeah, so far so good. It's our Sunday. But yeah, so far so good. I'm just looking at the side here. BYU scored another touchdown.
Oh,
return. So it's like 31-6. Oh, wow. Against Kansas State, number 13 in the nation.
Money,
Wow.
It's a good day. It's a good day in
hope.
the Sabbath day here in New Zealand for BYU.
There you go. Hey, Maria Cougars.
Maria.
Speaking of Utah, we just fight. We fight Kava here and stuff. We got a mixture of the Utah BYU fans. It kind of is just funny. It's a nice little environment to be in. The back and forth, and I'm coming from the UCLA USC type deal, and then
third party consultant.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Hey. Go ahead, guys. Go at it.
Yeah, I mean, how is it? Is it how is it? Everybody excited? Because I think when do we play Utah?
Week 9.
Week 9. Oh yeah. If BYU goes undefeated, Utah continues to win. That win against Oklahoma State, that could be a big deal, man.
Yeah.
And me being ignorant, like first time moving to Utah a few years ago, I just assumed like everyone in like Utah County was BYU fans. Everyone in Salt Lake was Utah fans, but I found out real fast because it's mixed. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. So makes it fun though,
Yeah. How about you, Tua? How's Central Texas? How's the weather? How's the vibe?
I went to I mean I haven't been spending a lot. I've been so like in my own little world in my office. I work from home like 90% of the time. So I went to the store the other day and they're like, oh, it's nice and sunny. And I was like, oh, has it been like cloudy? It's like, oh yeah, it's been cloudy all day. But the weather's been good, man. It's been beautiful in the 90s for here. That's beautiful weather. Man. Pretty dry, but pretty good weather overall, man. I love Texas. It gets a little hot sometimes, but when winter comes, I'm like, don't see the white stuff falling from the sky. I'm just like, shit. Hey, look, Maka, it looks like Dendis says, what's up?
What's up, man?
So looks like
Dennis?
he's one of
Dennis?
your boys. Yeah. Is his name Dennis?
Well, I didn't know if it was spelled like that. I thought it was just like Dennis, but
this is the undercover name.
Man, what's up, man?
FBI's never gonna find him with that D in there, man. He's like, dang.
Dennis, man, right on. What's up, Toko?
Let's start with the first thing that I wanted to show, some interesting news, couple sports news that I wanted us just to kind of comment on before we get into some of the historical stuff. But look at this. I don't know if you guys know, but Argentina just beat South Africa, and they beat the All Blacks this year. So, I mean,
is that
they
first?
beat Australia. I mean, they beat everybody this year.
Is that the first time they ever beat those teams ever? Or
the All Blacks may have been the first time ever they beat them.
Wow.
And then now, I don't know if they've ever beat South Africa before, but definitely the first time to beat New Zealand and South Africa in the same year.
Same year. Wow.
And I'm sure I think I saw them smash the Wallabies. So this is interesting, man. This is the times are changing.
You think they're getting better or the team's getting worse, you think? Or they're just catching up, or what do you think?
I was thinking that with the Wallabies and the All Blacks, but South Africa, I thought, was at a high level. So this to me is evidence that
that's a good win.
Argentina is the real deal, man.
Wow.
Like, they keep this up, maybe they might be a contender for the World Cup, man. Who knows?
Man.
Yeah,
even
man.
If they don't, that's historical right there.
Yeah, no, that's exciting news, man. I mean, that's another contender. You know, Nacho says it's a big deal. And hey, you know why? Maybe why they're doing it is because what's the name of the president of Argentina? He's making Argentina great again.
Yeah. I forgot his name, but he's like a full-on anti-socialist and anti.
Yeah. Xiana came in and cut like 40% of the federal government.
Cut the government down.
Like, just cut it. Like, imagine if like a U.S. president just said, Department of Education, cut.
Done.
Department of blah, 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 cut. He just let them all go, man. Like, Xiana, you don't mess around.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely interesting times.
Well, and I was just thinking that it's good for rugby overall. That's like a team like Argentina becomes competitive.
Yeah.
For sure. Man.
Yes. So
shout out to all the Argentinians.
Yeah. Argentina's having a party, and with all the savings with their new president, maybe it's a national party.
Man. Man.
Here's another interesting one. Joshua just fought today or yesterday or whatever. I just seen it in my feed. And let's see. Let's catch the tail. Dubois. Yeah. So here's the tail end of this. This is crazy. Yahweh.
What are we witnessing? Anthony Joshua is down. He's not going to beat the count.
No.
He is all over. He's knocked out. Anthony Joshua has been knocked out after hurting Daniel Dubois. I'm in shock right now.
What's crazy is he hurt the guy. Yeah. Dubois was like all wobbly. He was coming in. It was like what's the Mexican champion that came through the destroyer?
Diaz or
Andy Ruiz.
No.
Andy Ruiz.
Ruiz. Yeah. You know, where he like got him hurt and then just tried to finish Andy, and Andy's finished him. You know, I mean, went multiple rounds, but this one, Dubois was wobbling, going backwards. AJ came for the kill and got killed.
Yeah. You can see the the way I'm looking at it is that good now fool, yeah. But you can see, you can see the walls of the legs was like you're saying, was wobbly. But you know how
that's what's crazy about heavyweights, man.
Man, it just needs however many pounds of pressure. You just need just a right hit at the right place.
You know, and that's the thing. Man. The shot, if you rewatch the shot,
it doesn't even look like that big of a punch.
It was a straight, hand. It was crazy.
It's like a 4-inch punch.
AJ need a ipu forno after that. He needs a ipu and a half, man. He was struggling. Like those are the kind of shots that it affects you for a long time. So, hey, Water Bears, welcome. Water Bears, Maka.
Malu LA Water Bears, LA Rams,
I don't know, but go ahead, Timiga. Alo, you know, you make Kava, hey, you know, it's all love, Water Bears.
Yeah, go Water Bears, Moche. Inu the Kava foul stretch. Relax. LA Chargers. Hey, the Chargers won last week.
LA Chargers.
Yeah, didn't the Chargers win last week?
I think they're undefeated. I think they're undefeated.
They did beat us. But I'm pretty sure they're still hurt from that. What was it, like 69-0, whatever went from last year? I mean, I don't want to bring it up. But,
I don't want to bring up the past. You don't want to live in the past, right?
Yeah. I'd be mad too. But
hey, Siriva, Malo, welcome to the Digital Kava session, Malo,
Siriva.
So, I mean, that was some interesting updates there. Let me see if there's another one.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
If you know anything. I don't know if his how his career is looking, but it's starting to kind of. I'm not saying it's going downhill, but his chin is kind of Andy Ruiz, now Dubois. Like, man,
and that's usually what they say. You know, now that you said when you box, now when I box professionally.
Yeah.
Usually they say, I mean, once you take a big shot. A lot of the guys say, like, you're just never the same. I mean, just look at Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Right?
First loss,
Even what's his name that they fought? Deontay and
Fury?
Gypsy King. They're not the same, man. Like, they both
hurt each other.
Out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Tyson Fury took some crazy shots from Deontay. Deontay took some shots. They haven't been the same. Right? And that's nothing personal. That's just the reality of life, man. That's just like saying we all get old. Like you take those shots.
It's gonna take a toll on you for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Hey, Tongan style, welcome, Malo. Atu hafu ipu fonu fau welcome. Here's another interesting. You know what? That's a good point, Nacho. I think Israel Adesanya too.
Ooh, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree,
and it's not a knock against them, man. That's just a part of war. War takes a lot out of you, man. Like, you know, it's a difficult life, and you know, you take it because it gives you and your family an opportunity, but it has a price. It has a price, man.
Yeah,
but that's an interesting point. Israel Adesanya as well. Definitely.
All this is kind of making, to me, Floyd Mayweather look even better just because.
Oh yeah, wait.
A lot of people, will
hold that thought.
Yeah,
I agree, Maka.
He was boring. He was not a knockout artist. You know, we like to see knockouts and stuff, but now you're starting to see this happen. It's like, I think Floyd Mayweather had a point, man. Like, it's boxing. It's not a street brawl. It's boxing.
Yeah. No, true. We'll come back to that. I'm not on the Floyd Mayweather, you know.
I'm a Mayweather fan.
But Masi is definitely a Mayweather. He's on the Mayweather, but we'll come back to that.
Pac-Man.
I'm a Pac-Man. I'm a Pac-Man. But here's another interesting one. It's kind of a good segue. You brought it up. Good segue. And this wasn't planned. Masi and Maka don't know the schedule. It's just the spirit guiding them. So this one is interesting. Not surprised, but interesting. Listen to Uncle Dana here. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong one.
Think about me, and you go back and look at anything that I ever said. I never say anything that I don't do, ever. I've never said that. And we've been kicking the whole boxing thing around for a long time. You've never heard me commit and say, I'm in. I'm in.
Uh-oh. What does that mean? That means UFC is going to have a boxing promotion deal. So UFC is going. Looks like UFC is going to get into the boxing game.
Really?
Yeah. What are the thoughts on that? What's kind of the thoughts on that?
I think it's
guys?
needed. I think it's needed because those what the WBC, IBO, and the WBO and the IBF. Those are kind of big boxing
legacy type
legacy. I think there's room for somebody to come in and disrupt, and it would also help. And the UFC has that brand and the financial stability to kind of at least do business. And I think it'll be good. And I think it'll be good because I think there is the boxing is a little kind of boring with some of the fights. You want to see like more of the top line fights instead of guys fighting these kind of nobody's kind of thing. But I think UFC will help doing that because that's what UFC, to me, that's the best thing about UFC. Even though the financial payments are not that good, but when you want to see good fights, the UFC makes them, and that's what definitely what gets me to watch the UFC. But hey, I think Dana can do some good things, but I don't know what both your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Maka, any thoughts? What do you?
I agree. I mean, that's just pretty much just fresh blood coming into just more entertainment to me, and just like you said, like UFC is well established. You know, they got to get a track record, and as like you like Masi was saying, you know, they deliver every time as far as entertainment goes, and people people watch. So that's just another something exciting to look forward to. And like you said, it's been boxing has been kind of stagnant a little. You know, it's not like back in the day where the best people fight the best. People, you know what I mean? Yeah. None of this. Oh, he's not signing a deal. Just make the fight happen, man. You know.
Oh, you mean like Mayweather?
Hey, I thought we're not going there yet. Oh man.
Hey, but here's the thing. At least Mayweather can't dispute that.
Hey, that is disputable. I will dispute that. But anyways, my thoughts are I couldn't help myself. I know I told everybody to wait, and then I broke my own rule. I get give me a big Ipu Kava right there as my punishment. Breaking his own rules. I think this is like very interesting on multiple layers. You know, I see it as him addressing a problem and taking advantage of an opportunity. The problem is, look at what boxing did to shoot, man, I'm getting old, people. Conor McGregor and the Predator guy, what's the Uli Uli guy who went boxing and Joshua knocked out? Ngannou.
Oh, Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. So look at the pressure that's being put on the UFC fighters, right? One boxing match is more than their whole careers at the UFC. So I think this is a dual purpose. Number one, it is a defensive mechanism to try and keep their fighters by saying, hey, you want to box someone? Well, let's make a deal where they box in the UFC boxing committee and they don't lose them. And they don't, not only do they don't lose the athlete, but they get a piece of the pie of the big dollar fights. Right. So that it helps keep the talent in there. And UFC is a business. Businesses always expand into new markets. So this is a in many ways a brilliant move business wise, right? Because it helps defend your current territory and then also springboards you into new environments. So I think this is a great business move by Dana, because I think he can resolve that now. You know, if these guys want to fight and go into boxing, interesting. I don't know. That's what came to my mind kind of listening to it. It's like, why would he do that? And then I thinking about it, it's like, that makes sense.
I just hope what's going on now doesn't fall into what UFC is trying to do, meaning like, you know how, for example, for a long time, what's his name? They try to make, you know, the Spence and Crawford fight happen, but because of the the rival companies and the contracts and when they're agreeing on certain things. You know, like for example, like I know USC
That's true.
could be ready. I hope they don't. Meaning like the delay between flights. I hope they don't take long to agree on something and just make a flight happen. And you know, But it's still either way, it's still exciting that now you got this other entity coming in and be like, oh yeah, it's more entertainment for sure.
Yeah, no, that's going to be interesting, especially for these crossover fights, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's a good point. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, dude, that will if they're able to be successful.
Yeah,
that will be.
That's good for Dana.
Oh my goodness, is this for real, George? Hey, George, welcome.
Yes, sir.
What?
Oh my goodness, the Lord's school is true.
Man, ita might go Utes.
No, the Utes should be happy, man. See, this is the thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm a BYU guy, right?
Yeah.
I cheer for Utah to win because I want Utah to win. So when we beat Utah, it's a greater win.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Utah should be doing the same thing. They should be cheering on BYU and be like, yeah, win until I come and buy you around, you know, because that makes it more prestigious to win. It's good for the rivalry. It's good for TV because if they both do really well, College Game Day might show up to the BYU game, and that would be BYU Utah game. I mean, this is
That's a good point. That's a good point, but I think it's just subjective because you got those fans who they don't care no matter what.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, but I
yeah,
see, that's a good point what you're making. That's good. That, you know, for the exposure and all that stuff. So
you know what the BYU position is. There are no Utah fans. There's just people who like BYU and people who hate BYU. And if you hate BYU, you're a Utah fan. It's not that you love Utah. You just hate BYU. You know, I don't know. That's just me.
That's a crazy score, man.
Yeah, it's third quarter. So yeah. Oh, according to George, he thinks Utah just got lucky. I mean, it was a close game, right, Masi?
Yeah.
There's only 4 quarters. Has there been a time it's been more quarters than that, George? Oh, Yahweh. Oh, Yahweh. Oh, man. Yeah, George was pretty rough on our last short video where we talked about George Smith being the greatest flanker. Yeah, George Fifita here wasn't buying any of that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They got the same name, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. He's like, because George went to Tonga High School, so he's like, he's a Toloa guy, you know. Plus, I like Richie McCaw, so he's like, I ain't taking any of this. George Smith is the greatest flanker of all time business.
Yeah, man, that's funny.
Anyways, yeah. So that was some interesting some news there. David Tua better than Jay. You know what? You know what, Jay? Now I know why you think that Tui Manua was greater than the Tui Tonga because of this kind of stuff. David Tua is the Tui Manua and Ali is the Tui Tonga. I understand now. At least you're consistent. At least you're consistent.
Jay,
but
I got a
fantastic. Go ahead.
Yes, I got a reply for Jay. You know, condolences to my uncle. He passed a few years ago. I mean, a few weeks ago. But David Tua was there speaking, and he said, you know, probably just being respectful, but he was like, because my uncle was his name was Fonomanu.
I think I saw that video.
You know?
I saw that video.
And he spoke at his funeral. He's like, you know, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a David Tua. You know what I mean? So. Jay, Malo.
Jay, we love you, Jay. We're all the same people. But going along with what you were saying, and sorry to hear about your uncle passing away, but I did watch that video, and what cracked me up is when David Tua, when he was fighting that Cameron guy.
Yeah,
what's the
Shane
guy
Cameron.
using? Shane Cameron. And I guess David Tua ran into your uncle, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the Shane Cameron was just kind of talking all over the place and insulting David Tua and everything. And David Tua asked your uncle, Maka, hey, what do you think I should do? And then he said in that speech, right? He said, Tuki que mate. And
That's good
David
advice.
Tua did it. That's what David Tua said.
Man,
You know?
hey, see, helping each other out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, 100%. David Tua is awesome. Honestly,
Mhm.
if he didn't run into the financial and legal issues that he had, because I guess I don't know the details, but it sounds like from what I remember, somebody was stealing money from him. He was
Yeah.
in court, and this was during his prime years, man. I think he lost what 5 or 6 years during his prime, just
Mm.
dealing with the legal and the financial issues that he had. If I remember correctly, I don't know if you guys know more about that, but I remember reading or watching something where, dude, if he wasn't, I think because he was world champion caliber, there was no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
It's just with those legal and financial issues that he had to address that took away the prime of his career. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or more background on that.
No, I was just gonna say that I think I did hear him say that he lost about $20 million because of the money that was kind of gone. And
Was it promoters or what? Do you
two
remember
guys,
what?
yeah, there was two guys that were managing
His
him, and
money? Yeah.
yes, and my man was just busy fighting and stuff, and thinks that he didn't know that they were going to another created business account and just kind of thing, and then they went to court. And it's one of those things that I guess these two managers kind of helped Tua in his early career, because early boxing, you need guys to kind of finance your
Yeah,
earlier
because you're
fights.
training.
Yes,
Yeah, you're not
training and
working.
stuff. So these two guys were doing that thing, and then they became partners, and then went to court. So they went into court. No one really won. The court just kind of left it is, and yeah, you're right, Tua, because it definitely caused some distraction. Because David Tua, he was a real deal in the heavyweight scene. But yeah, and boxing is one of those things that
It's a funny sport.
You have so many people, and sometimes you can lose track on where your money's going, because it is a big money sport. But yeah, that's
look, Mike Tyson lost over $100 million. David, look, imagine all the money that's been stolen from fighters. Wasn't it Muhammad Ali? He was the one that lobbied for the law to protect the fighters a little bit more from their promoters and stuff. So yeah, Water Bears is convinced, and it's hard to fight against that Water Bears, especially when you see a guy like Mayweather. Well, and you also see that with even Pacquiao, right? There were at least 3 fights. Yeah. Pacquiao was the clear winner. Hey, Turbo Malo, Tua's manager, stole trainer. See, that's the thing. And not only did they steal that $20 million, but even the money he would have made as a champion. So we're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars, being lost
earnings, for sure.
Which is just really frustrating. And look, Nacho here is Richie McCaw. Nacho, I agree. He's the greatest lawbreaker of all time. I have never seen a guy be offside, hands in the ruck more. I mean, I'm still hurt. This guy would make me so frustrated. Like Richie McCaw is like, I used to be like, why is he on the All Blacks? It wasn't until one of my flights on Air New Zealand that I watched a documentary. And I finally understood why Richie McCaw, and I now agree why he's a great player. Because he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest. You know what this guy's superpower is from what I watched this thing? He gives 100%. Like he is 100%. He gives, and that's a skill. Not everybody can empty the tank. It's actually a skill that you're born with and you can develop, where you can just give everything in the tank, right? And Richie McCaw was like that, man. Like training, football, fitness.
He had a good motor. He got that motor.
And he could empty the entire motor, right? Like you could have a good motor, but you're always holding yourself back. Richie McCaw, from watching that documentary, that's what made that guy special. And when you're playing next to a guy that you're seeing every day at training, every game, he is just giving everything he got. Dude, all of a sudden the guy who was only 70, 80% production is at 100. You know, he's a multiplier. Now everybody's multiplying, and I will at least concede that to him.
I don't know too much about
100%.
rugby. I don't know too much about rugby, but you know, like Richie McCaw versus like Michael Jones, or I don't know, like what do you guys think about that? Different position or same position? You guys know Michael Jones?
Yes, Michael Jones. He's
flanker.
He's one of the known All Black.
Yeah. I would say, if I were to say who was to my top two, Michael Jones and George Smith. I value impact on the game more than stats. And so if you go off of stats and other things, the only stat that no one can touch George Smith on is, if you probably look at his
turnovers,
turnovers he causes per game, probably untouchable. You go to other stats like tackles and meters made, you'll have other guys. But I look at, George Smith, he changed the rule book. When they have to change, it's like Stockton and Malone. You could have other duos that do way more. But when you change the pick and roll rules 2 times just to stop 2 guys from the pick and roll, I'm like, dude, that is what you call changing the game, because they literally changed the game to try and stop you.
That's a good explanation right there.
So Jay. She loto mama ya Jay. So I should read it out. I'm going to read it out more because we do upload this onto our audio only thing. So I want to read it. So Jay says, Tua's trainer stole his money, and guess where his trainer's from? Tonga, bloody greedy.
This is what I have to say.
These Tongans.
He's probably the most fairest and whitest Tongan I've ever seen.
Man.
If that's the trainer that I'm thinking about, it's like, man, he's the whitest Tongan I've ever seen.
Is his last name Smith?
No, this is one of those oral history musty. We don't care about the facts. We don't care about the facts. It's just the oral history says they're Tongan. So
that's the most accurate.
Maka says, what a bear. Maka, last year's blowout Chargers versus Raiders was Staley's last game. He knew he was getting fired, so he took over for the Raiders at Vegas and got fired, winning millions. Hey, can't argue with him,
Hey, you know how we say in the fight, Kava, don't explain your life.
you know what they say, the Kauyate guys, eh? Okay, she up ahead, my now you go have it. Did I not pay you or something? Why are you looking at me like that for?
Oh yeah, Malo, what a Bears.
Oh, looks like Jones, McCaw, Mashi, number 10, Mashi George. All because he went to school in Toloa. Come on, George. Come on, George. Hey, Tuilangi beats all of them. Is this boxing? Are we still talking about boxing? Or no, he's talking about the breakaway. I don't think any of the Tuilangi brothers were a flanker. You got Henry, who was the number 8, right? And then Alessandra, who was the winger. And then the other one, Manu, who played for England, was an inside center or outside center. So, Masi Jay, at least stay on topic, brother. Come on.
No, Jay talking about the Tuilangi from the soccer team. Malo, Jay. George has no love for Toloa. George, man. Oh no, George, Atele.
Yeah, Atele.
His pops. Yeah.
So I have an interesting video that I thought would be a kind of a good prime. We want to talk about the Tongans in Fiji, right, Maka, and walk through that and talk through that a little bit. But I have this video. You guys know that Father Mari from Australia, the Assyrian guy who got they attacked him. The Muslim guy attacked him and stabbed his eye, lost his eye. He tells an interesting story about Arnold Palmer going to, like, I want to say the Saudi Arabia maybe, and having a conversation with these guys, and just kind of talk about, you know, the difference of perspective. And when people have a conversation and your perspective and how you view the world has a huge impact on how you understand conversation. Right. And it's I thought it was really interesting. And I think this would be a good prime, because we're going to talk about that video. I actually found 2 other videos, Maka, that we're going to watch. They're relatively long, but we typically go for like 3 hours here. But to me, it really changed on how you view. I did not realize how much influence this. Was it Miley? What was the guy's name? Miley, that you said that was a Tuipelehake who left Tonga and went to.
I don't know if he was.
They mentioned his name. Yeah, they mentioned his name but dude,
you're talking about the Tavuni Fort, right? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're gonna watch a documentary that was done by Fijians, and they talk about it. And dude, they spread all over that place. Like there are multiple, like they're spread all over there. But we'll walk through it. But to me, this video kind of describes, and I think gives a good idea of, Masi, when we talk about what impact colonization can have on the mentality, not just the language and the operational, but it does have an impact on the psyche of a people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is one of a good ways to kind of explain the different ways of thinking. But let's just watch this real quick and then kind of get your guys' thoughts on it.
It's to do with golf. Have you seen this game of golf? Okay. Arnold Palmer was one of the greatest golfers the world had ever seen. One day he was invited by the king of Saudi Arabia because there was a new golf course that was opened in the middle of the desert in Saudi Arabia. So the king decided to invite all the celebrities and all the best top golfers in the world. So there was about 100 of them. They went to Saudi Arabia. It's a true story. After the opening ceremony, they all played and had their game. They had a dinner with the king. So while they were eating and sitting, the king was going around and greeting all the golf players, being his guests. So he came to Arnold Palmer. True story. And as he greeted Arnold, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the king asked Arnold, he said, "What can I do for you?" Arnold was telling the story. He said, "He put me on the spot. I was not expecting a question from the king. And such a question, what can I do for you?" He said, "I really panicked. And I thought for a few short seconds, I can't ask the king, it's too embarrassing." So he said, "I had to say something. It's the king asking." I said, "Okay, king, how about a club?" The king said, "Okay, no problem." He said, "I went back to America. A week went by, 2 weeks. I'm checking the mailbox. There's nothing. 3 weeks. I said to myself, this is the king of Saudi Arabia. Do you think he's got the time to think about you? He probably said it at that dinner time and he forgot about it. He's too busy. Who cares?" He said, "Anyway, I gave up." He said, weeks went by. One day I came and I went to the mailbox to check and I saw a big envelope. I pulled it out, big red writing, confidential. I look at the address, the king of Saudi Arabia on it. I ran into the house, not waiting to open this envelope. He said, I open it, and to my shocking surprise, I see a title deed to a 500-acre golf club. You see, if you're not aware and familiar with the golf game, the word club applies to the stick that you play with, and the word club can apply to the entire land you play on. that is also called a club. You see, when Arnold said to the king, I want a club, he meant a stick. But the king, being the king, interpreted as the king. You see, what Arnold is capable of is a stick, but the king is capable of a club of 500 acres. The mind of the king is totally different to the mind of a normal piece of dust like me. If an earthly king...
Okay. We're going to pause it right there. And what I'm getting to is this is why the Tuitonga was the only one who asked Captain Cook, what are you doing here? Right? Captain Cook goes and visits the majority of the Polynesian islands, right? Met all kinds of leaders, and yet only one leader said, what are you doing here? And so what I'm getting to is this is the reason that Laufiri didn't go and undermine Tupou the First, even though he could, right? This is why Tupou the First, even though he had probably all the military power at that one time, but he did not directly challenge Laufiri Tonga. When you have the right perspective and you have the right vision, it affects the way you think, the way you see the world, and the way you behave. And this is something that I think that the Tuitonga and a lot of the leadership that they have, this is one of the things that I wanted to bring to kind of to mind as why there's different perspectives of what Polynesian history looks like, right? This is why when you're in Eastern Polynesia and all you saw was bringing tribute to Tapu Tapu Atea, that's all you saw. You didn't realize bringing it to Tapu Tapu Atea was because the Tuitonga told a governor in Tahiti, this is where the tribute comes, so you don't have to come to Tonga twice a year because it's thousands of miles to get there. Just wanted to bring that up because I think this is a good setting to kind of see the difference of or how important perspective changes the way you view the world. Now he's going to take it into a spiritual understanding with God, right? A spiritual king. But I thought it's also applicable from obviously temporally, because here you have a golfer who, even him, the most successful golfer, get me a club. He's thinking about, a club to hit the ball. But when the king hears it, he's looking at a
different definition.
Yeah. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Maka.
It brought to mind a podcast I just recently seen with Cam Newton. I don't know if hopefully this is related, but they were trying to describe Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract, and he tied it into what's his name, Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers. You know how his manager or whatever, or someone in his group was caught stealing money or something. I don't know if you knew about that story.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that, but I just seen the highlights of his 50 home runs.
He was his
and 50
interpreter.
steals.
Interpreter.
His interpreter.
Ah.
Yeah. But Cam Newton was like the perspective, right? I'm talking about the perspective part. He was for some reason that just came to mind while we were watching, but he said, broke people, they're gonna be like, how could he not notice that, 6 million or 60,000 or whatever. But missing. Cam Newton's like, for example, from missing, right? From us though, if you're making for example, Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract is like 120 million with taxes and stuff is probably like 30 million per year, and he cut that down. Pretty much when you cut it down, it'll be like for the next 4 years, 17 weeks, it'll be about $932,000. But if you're getting $60,000 off of that $932,000 being stolen, you're not going to notice it. I promise you that. But the broke people, he was like, that's why I'm telling the broke people, like, sorry to cut you guys out. You don't understand, but I'm talking about that's the perspective part.
It's a different level.
It just brought that to mind. So like Arnold Palmer's thinking like this, and then
the king is like, the scale.
A club? Okay, yeah. So I don't know. That just brought the mind there.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's a different perspective.
No, no,
Mas-
I just go back to the concept of the kauhala uta and the kauhala lalo.
Mm,
There's a different perspective on families who are people who are in the kauhala uta and the kauhala lalo, and what when you have a conversation with those people from which side they fall,
mm,
you can come away finding that it was different conversations and it's not the
mm,
same details of what they perceive on how things should be run or how society was back in those days culturally. So
yeah,
that's what I go back to with that kind of perspective on with super. He's still a superstar because he's the greatest golfer, but
yeah,
his level of understanding on what a club is different than somebody. Let's just say when it's not just yourself or your
yeah.
family. We're talking about a whole nation.
Nation,
What the king of Saudi Arabia was interpreting. So it just goes back with the Kauhala Uta and Kauhala Lalo concept when
mm,
it depends on who you go and what your answer will be
yeah,
on your
yeah,
question. So
yeah,
yeah, that's my
no,
thought there.
100%. And I
mm,
think one of the things I took from this is, you know, you can be right from your perspective, but wrong from another one, right?
yeah,
So when we're, we do get a little bit of criticism, which is fine. We knew we would get some criticism out there, right? Um, but we can, I guess it's expected. And what I'm trying to say is their perspective is what gives them that conclusion. And what we're trying to do is bring another perspective that hopefully can change and give more visibility. Just like this, like Tonga, and we've mentioned this before, Tonga's ability to survive as a nation should not just be something that Tonga alone has claim on. That's all of Polynesia from my perspective, right? All of Polynesia should be celebrating that, because we take the position Polynesia was one nation, and the fact that a portion of our nation survived, I don't know any other major civilization that can say that, right? That we can, and we should have that gratitude that God helped that nation have a portion survive, and there's hope of us being unified under it because we are one, and we can take that as a building point to kind of unify all of our Polynesian brothers and sisters wherever they are.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean we need to be shy about saying what we think is the truth.
yeah.
But yeah, that was just kind of wanted to bring that up. Any other
mm.
comments or thoughts on that before we go into the videos of the fort in Fiji?
I'm good.
So I had a question, not to prolong our
No,
live
you're
chat,
good.
You're
my
good.
bad.
You're good, Bucker.
But so this is for you, Jay. If it's gonna help you feel a little better. But hypothetical, right? We all know we stand where we stand, right? As far as like
Mm,
what you stand on, as far as like the civilization and everything, Tonga being so-called capital, whatever. But let's just say hypothetically, right? We come to find out Samoa is like, oh, it is the Cradle Polynesian, whatever. Like, would you be able to accept that and be like, oh, I guess I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but still include that as Polynesia, it's still all Polynesia, whatever. Because I feel
yeah.
like, again, like you're saying, the perspective, I think it's just because I know a lot of people can't accept that because they're looking at it from
their
Yeah.
perspective.
For
Fair
sure.
point.
For
Yeah.
sure. Fair point.
because me, I would be able to be like, oh, I guess it is, yeah, but
Yeah.
we're all Polynesian, but I wouldn't mind that because we all the same, you know what I'm saying? But I think
Yeah.
some people can't accept that just because, even with all the evidence that you're providing and everything, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
You have to be willing, because we all know nobody knows everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
And there's always a risk. No matter what position you take, there's
Mm,
always a risk you're wrong.
mm,
And, would it be difficult for me to accept it? Absolutely, because I'm a human being. But I hope that I would accept it, right? I hope that's the beauty of, living life.
mm,
It wouldn't be the first time I had to eat some humble pie or take my foot out of my mouth. It
yeah,
wouldn't be the first time,
yeah.
right? So
yeah,
it is what it is. And if it is, then it is what it is. I just have
mm,
to go back, eat my humble pie, and say, okay, it
Yeah.
is
yeah,
Samoa, and accept it. work. Like they say, facts don't care about your feelings. If my feelings are hurt, so be it. But the truth is the truth, regardless. And I think everybody, any searcher or anyone who claims to seek after truth, that's something you have to accept as a reality. That's my thoughts. Your thoughts, Masi?
No, and that's a good question Maka brought up. I would definitely be part of accepting that if the evidence. I would like to perceive myself as a person that would follow the facts, and if the facts were leading towards Samoa or Upolu or Savai being the headquarter and where the sh- the governing structure happened to rule and manage the Polynesian nation, then it is what it is. You just can't argue with that. And then, like I said, we're all Polynesian and we're all one people, and it is what it is. And I would definitely um, um, agree to that and say, hey, that's so far the evidence explains that it started from here, and I'll go with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
and this is part of the whole learning. Like I was just thinking, Maka, like throughout the past episodes, if Tu and I came through a research of why this would come, and we're like, hey, that's a good point. We can't argue with that, and I don't have any explanation for that, then I would like a good explanation to explain or kind of explain that position. Then yeah, we would come across that. But for sure, if Samoa was in that position,
what I would do is, I showed my DNA tests. I just pull my Samoan side then. I'm just gonna be like, oh, what was the town? Masi, what Tamu, something Musanga or Masanga or something. That center part of
Tua Masanga, yeah.
Tua Masanga.
Where the Maria Toa kind of govern, yeah.
Yeah, if that were to come true, then my DNA says, oh, I come from that area anyway. So yeah, I still win.
Hey, or you could be like Jay and be like, you provide all the evidence, you can't argue it, but he's gonna say you're still wrong.
Exactly. This is the funny part, Maka. This is question to Jay. Jay, if I agree, because this is Jay just made this comment, right? So let's say Jay says this comment and then I agree. You know what I'm concerned about? Jay is gonna jump and be a Tuitonga fan just to resist me.
All the time.
I think if I were to be like, you know what, Tuimanua was the leader, the original. I concede. Jay is then gonna all of a sudden become no. It was the Tuitonga. It was the Tuitonga. Just to kind of give some. So what we call it, the tui halafatai switch.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Jay doesn't want to agree because it's too boring. Jay? It's too boring if we all agree. Looks like we have a game update 38-9. Jeez, that's interesting.
That's a good gold smacking. Good old discipline.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyways, yeah. I mean that's the response. Any thoughts on the responses?
Yeah, just Jay, got an assignment for you, man. Go do your DNA. I promise you're not going to be 100% Samoan.
No, and you know what's funny that there was I watched a Samoan girl on TikTok, right? She was on there and she was like shocked. She's like, this whole time I thought I was 100% Samoan, but then her DNA said Tongan. And I just want to clarify, there is no like Tongan Samoan. All it is one village to the next village. It's just saying more of your blood came from this village than the other. But we were intermarrying and crossing bloodlines all the time. So I just want to put that as the disclaimer. But 100%, she was on there and she was like 60% Tongan. Right? All that meant was a lot of her ancestors that have been living in Samoa for whatever reason, a lot of the genetic markers are found in Tonga. It's no different. If you could get to the detail of village by village, that would be like some people say, no, I have blood from this village and that village and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we're pretty much all the same people. Looks like this is I don't know how to say that, but can I join? Yes, 100%. Welcome to the Kava session. So welcome. Open door policy. Any other comments or thoughts before we get into the video?
Good.
Sweet. So we're gonna watch these. These are 2 videos. They're 30 minutes long, but they're very interesting. I think this is very educational for history because this is actual person, descendant of, was it Miley? I think is his name, or Miley.
Mighty like a mighty.
Yes. So it's an actual descendant of him, kind of giving the story on what they believe and all the marriages. So it was kind of interesting. So it's in Fijian, but it has the subtitles.
So Mighty Latamai too, from my little research. I don't know if he was supposed to be the Tui Perehake or from a Tui Perehake line or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he got banished to Fiji though.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny. It's funny that you say that because he'll mention it in here that they were a little upset about someone from their village went on the Fijian radio and talked about a version of the history that they didn't agree with, and and it sounds like the part they didn't agree with, was that he was banished. Now, granted, nobody wants to hear anyone talking about their ancestor was banished for doing something that they shouldn't be doing. That's regardless, right? I mean, there's a high probability that if you, and they call him a prince, so they do say that he was a Tongan prince, so he was obviously someone of royalty. There's a reason why he left Tonga, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was because he had a little too fun with someone, with a lady that was influential in Tonga, very possible, or something similar to Ma'afu, right? There was some political strife going on, and there was a decision made, hey, to keep the peace on Tonga Tapu, you have to go. Who knows? But it's very possible that that's the reason why he left, was he got a little too friendly with some people he shouldn't have been friendly with. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get the video here going, and then whenever you guys want to pause and talk some, just kind of give me a heads up.
All right.
Get into it.
E nandua nangau bala besara ni mbera ni ratantu mana vavalangi kiwiti e randau vela kovi o ira na nontang kase ke ira na vekanda mai Samoa ke Tonga. Na kene buendirindina era setu na veyada ke na vevekani e na vesa viti kara i varitaki ni vevekani ongori. Na nonda talno ni kua e na vaya tio tutaki kina vekanda e so na isema vakango. And then rungoda kasarava na lolako mai Tonga matnisinga kinandua na yasay nanrunga and ra ke vitilevu. E ruotiko na iwaswasi ni talonongo na kine kuri and angay rungoditiko and amadaw gatumay. Ia menda sa ating wale saramanda kinambati ni uduway may nasingatoka kinakoro o naroro.
Ningon na may mbibimi kinatorango maile latama yuko ya sinindo singa ni aviamuri singa nindo dunrubi ko sano na itu sarang ko ya mesambimbi nga mai vale mesapangara mai ndo na buno ya na buna taudo ko ni no na bimbi mai ka na sentro ni na pangmatala takai ke ando naturanga nutu lewangan ni yabusa dona kena turanga integritas kita lengan aricho oko ya mani bakarita ka mekino ko ni bakarita mo ko na bimbi mani turango ken na matala.
That's the one I was talking to you about. They weren't happy with that.
Sin dona kay bunta ka ko to may namondo dito ana busaton baka butu ka so.
He may have been telling the truth, but sometimes people don't like the truth. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was thinking to this guy, matai, Tonga,
dude,
like it's, you can tell just by looking at that, the tone of the body build and the skin. And,
the physical traits.
Yeah,
that's a Polynesian look, not a Melanesian look.
For sure.
Right. So yeah.
Umusaranga na. Nani mami mbu au nas na siniraw ni na
more comfortable with this one.
Talo no takin na mekilaw bitiraran pamalitan ni ngondo na tuku-tuku dodon me ko marwe akaron.
Ertu wawasia to kana nonan ra volya ka ko maile la tamai ni asang ni ngolen dondo mai ko maile. E ambimbi uba tamai le witini tale na turangan ni busa. Kina nona tamata. Enda bagan dinata kina ni asang ni lago leilai. Nei lago mai tonga mata di singa. Ena nona tuwa baka sanggang gara boli mai. Ertu wa sokoro bita mai kine bunga sarana be yanu na atulau. Kemudian nona to mai baka tiang utang baka leilai. Ena yanu mai na sauda ke biti ko kantabu. Enda indai. Enda rau ni bakan din taka. Ni retu talenga ena yanu ko kantabu.
So one thing I wanted to do, and let me see if I think it would be helpful just for the storyline, right? So just so that everybody can kind of keep track of this. This is Kadavu right here.
Okay.
So this is the Lao group, right? Obviously coming from Tonga. Excuse me, from the east.
Quick question to and is it? I didn't see them specifically say. Are they from Tongatapu? I'm assuming from Tongatapu. If it's a person of high rank.
Yeah. I mean, if it's related to the Tui Perihake, then it's definitely from
Okay.
From Tongatapu. So this is Kadavu right here. So they leave. So they go past. I think it's interesting. This is why I think it had to be something negative, in my opinion, because he bypasses all of the Lao group where there's a Tongan presence, right? So he's kind of told, go find your own path, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but that tells me a lot that he is not going to other Tongan settlements there. He's establishing new Tongan settlements. Is kind of interesting, but this is the first area. So they come to Kadavu right there. So just kind of, just for reference. And then there's Tongans there. So that's why there's Tongans in that area.
Bunga saranan ra pa tonga matani singa. Kasi mbong bula to ka veiro to na nona kawa ko maile. So na kena itala no makawa.
E tipo talanga ikan dona tombu ni Sicily. Nando ni raw may Sicily to kina raw bungo bata kina dona ngona leon ikan.
Nimbiu mai namba rabi ke na sauda. Sa te kubun bromo talanga ni kana baka nana no tagi ko tonga matani singa. Kani sa voto mama na bola ka saratuna. Ayan no bitilin. Yer to bang din taga na kana. Ni mat ini yan melomana na turang go me pag itigo kina bagan duo. Ataraki na indona no pale. Say ko na yan turang o sirwa.
Wana tani yan o sirwa. Ni nangonor to sa kelikin na may sirwa. Wakatalangan kinor to kela mi kandap.
So real quick, so they go from Kadavu to, excuse me, Serua. So just for reference, I just pulled it up, right? And there's Serua. So it's just south of that main island.
But you didn't win.
Yeah. So right here. So it's a small little island right next to the main island of Fiji. So just for reference. So I think that's Kadavu right there.
Yeah.
Right. So they come from Tonga, go here, then they come to this small island right here, Serua Island.
Just right off the coast, huh?
Yeah, just right off the coast. So I think it's good just to kind of see how this travel, and then we'll get to the other parts. But I thought this is just kind of helpful to bring that up.
Yeah.
Ni kele talai sonai matalola mera panggarban dua patakir nangonen da merlakoi wai. Sakto saramine lawla. Rambujian na kenapa. Erna sa sumbra. Mayat paling sirua. Pengen bahagia tu kinen benda na nrabato ngarato kai sirua. Toka main na koron deumba. Toka mai lakota sara nambar itu ame adan.
So real quick, Sigatoka that they're talking about right there, which I drove by many times. on my way in Fiji going from Nandi to Suva. So that's right there. This area right here.
Having no idea about this history here, huh?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I thought this video, I found this video. What was that?
Which area, Tua? Are you showing it on the thing? Because I only see the video. I thought you were.
Oh shoot, my bad. So this is Sigatoka right here, Masi. And have you ever driven to Nandi to Suva from Nandi? So there's Nandi right there, right? There you go to the major airport.
Yeah.
So we'd catch the bus or we drove, and then you drive right by Sigatoka right there, cross the bridge and come because Suva is over here to the right, right there. So, but yeah, so they come from Serua, and then they come over here. So this is where they're
river.
Yeah, they're going up the river. It's the largest river, I think, that cuts through Fiji, and then that's where the fort is, right there. So on the eastern shore, relatively close to the ocean.
Yeah.
So, and then here they're going to mention this, right? This is actually used to be Kolotonga. They're going to mention that there, and then if you go up north a little bit, you see Tonga. You start to hear when you hear the story, you start to hear the Tongans like just spread throughout this whole area.
Yeah,
right.
That's pretty. That's a pretty good distance into the mainland.
Yeah.
It's
not like right on the coast only.
No.
Yeah. So this is why this video. I thought, man, this guy did, and it's coming straight from them. So I thought this one is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, and then just for everyone to kind of be aware, Maka, kind of give everyone just kind of rough timing. This is before Ma'afu, right? This is before
I believe
Ma'afu.
This is probably again just going off whatever little I looked up, probably about 50 years before Ma'afu around.
Yeah.
Around okay. So just a little before.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point, right? Ma'afu was sent, quote unquote, for non-malicious, we'll just call it malicious activity. Yeah. He gets sent to where? The Lao group, established Tongan, right? Settlements. Homeboy was he's cutting new territory. He's developing his own domain, right?
Yeah.
He's going into where Tongans are not settled at all. And I thought it was also interesting that they say the Rewa River, because you remember Takumbau, who was he fighting a lot against? The Rewa chiefs, the brothers. And I wonder if that's a part of I always thought, and this is just some of the ideas that came to my mind as I'm watching this. I don't know if it's connected, but what I used to think was this. Is the reason why Takumbau went to Tupou the first is maybe because a bunch of these Rewa guys are Tongan, related to Tongan influence. Possibly because we're now looking at this kind of stuff. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. When you get this context, all of a sudden, I had just always thought that Takumbau was just fighting Fijians because I think Bao is more to the east, right? And it's guys coming from the west, but it looks like the west has quite a few Tongan influence in that area.
Because another thing that makes that interesting too is that thought is because, especially with a lot of the our Fijian brothers and sisters, I've seen a lot of comments saying that they were never able to either like settle or infiltrate into the mainland. They just stayed in Laos. You know what I mean? But here's proof that
it's well inside. Well, in the big
it's on the big. It's on one of the big islands. It's like it's in the mainland.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that also the timeline makes sense. With the timeline that Maka has provided 50 years, and then with the whole political instability happening in the Tuikang Polu, Maafu going kind of so, and then Takumbau asking for help because he probably understands that the guys that he's probably having challenges with are Tongan influence from these kind of groups, and I'm assuming it had to be a big group because I'm like they had to be comfortable going in the middle. In the island to kind of really feel comfortable. They're gonna just spread out and kind of establish their own kind of civilization or community in
Yeah,
Middle
I mean,
East.
yeah, something gave them the confidence to do that. Whether it was their numbers or something, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it was a small group because
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's some kind of a chiefly or royalty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
10-4.
Pero yaran rasa pangkara bono ta kena nei lawa ni kona turang ale linggo mai le latamai nambua rati ko kina ni ko
See, in Rewa
turang
has the tongue in stock, which is kind of interesting.
Yang biu to mai ni yan ko serua. Katoso sumu mai nei laula ko ni ba sanga garabanua. Ninga yado mai na barra bigay na ronga. Sanga ngande na lomay maile. Na satara ni mata ini nono koro tundei. Ya baka tukai na nono mata ini tugutugongo mea ko koro tonga. Ya baka ni nono koro na kaitonga. Enda indai. Sa yado toga ni barra biongo. Kino koro ka baka tawana toga. O koro tonga.
So that's the Corotongo that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right? So the name changed a little bit. So they go basically from Serua and then they go to, where is that? Right here.
Right there.
So there's a settlement. I mean, they're basically creating settlements everywhere they stop.
Yeah.
Right? They stop on Karavu, settlement there. They go to Serua Island, their first area on Corotonga. Right? And everywhere they're going, they're just establishing little settlements as they go along.
Yeah. And those names, you know, correlate that, you know, like that's like proof right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sang suti sarni talita kana turang linggo na tartarin bali. Mani basura ko kaya na pala tarto kaya.
I didn't quite understand that statement. I wonder what you guys thought that meant, because he says dislike of house constructions caused his group to fragment. Is that saying like literal houses, or is he talking about the structure of like houses of families? Like the families led to fragmentation, so he started sending people. I don't know. That I didn't quite understand what that statement was really about, because I'm assuming that just because you didn't like how people's houses were built, that you would fragment your group.
Yeah, there has to something be deeper than that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, either or. I think it's either or, just because when I think about, for example, just in my family history, there's a chief that, you know, supported one guy, and then like the next week went and fought against him. It was just kind of like, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's why I mean, it could have, who knows? Like, I don't know.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe when he says house, he means more like the families and the groups. Maybe the group started to fragment a little bit, where one guy just kind of like as he's going, some people decide, oh, I'm not going to continue. So obviously, Maide wanted to continue, but maybe some of these people didn't want to continue. So maybe that's what he's talking about. So he's like, oh, if you guys want to stay here, I'm going to keep going. I don't know. I didn't quite understand it, but just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were on that.
Sa ikoyongo na buna era bang bauta kina nakaway maile era sa tigo indai ni ravo soto toka kina na tolo ni wili waina singa toka uira era bebe kanindi na bangan ra era to bang bauta baka kina ni bunga era may baka tawa talanga ibida na koro ya nambara biki nanronga kabaka kina sona yabusa ya na koro tura nga gudubu.
Nadroga Coast. I don't know where that is. Let's see if we can kind of see.
In the Kuvu village.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Kuvu right there, just right, kind of up.
Oh, right there, there. So they're saying that some of the so it looks like Maide wants to go up here, but then over here they start fragmenting. Maybe some of them, maybe they don't want to go upriver. Some of them just want to stay by the coast because it's easier for going back to Tonga or other places. Interesting.
Yeah.
Trying to see if that Nadroga Wonder where that is. It's got to be around maybe just this coastal area, right? Because they said that the Kuvu, Nadroga coast in Kuvu. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. All right. It's kind of cool to look at the map. I thought it would be helpful. We're seeing where these guys are all spreading. I mean, now we're looking like, look at this. I mean, if we zoom out here, it is, from here, Kadavu, there's Tongans there. You coming over here, spreading all throughout the coast here, right? All through here, this island and on this coast, and then going upriver eventually.
Yeah.
So, like you said, this was not two guys with a pickup truck just digging and stuff. This must have been a pretty serious group coming over.
Yeah.
See, Nandi. Oh, shoot. My bad. See, they say even spread into areas in the Nandi region.
Okay.
Right? So this is significant. Let's go back here.
That's a long way from there.
Dude, that's all the way up over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe Lautoka right here. Is that it possibly up there because the Lao name? I don't know. I mean, now all of a sudden the different names are kind of interesting now.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, but look at that. That's a pretty large piece of area. Let's come back here.
Yeah. And what's the island? That's VT level, right?
That's VT level. That's the one. That's where Suva is. That's where Nandi, the major international airport, is. So yeah. Unless they have another big island somewhere else that we don't know. Maybe the oral history says there's a bigger island somewhere that we don't know of.
There's a bigger island when you have to go through the door of a Puloto.
Biggest island, eh? That's the biggest island.
The one you go and you never come back alive.
Never come back.
Yep.
So big you never come back.
Era sati ko kinan ni kuan na teranga kena marah menitong. Ando na buno alay bakit ko tikena turango may waktu kaitu kamiata no mahib. Ni roti ti kombe kae ya tini ti kona kilomita may na taon ni singatoka.
Now I'm curious now. I want to know where Mahevu is. What? There's maybe. I wonder if it's maybe not a town. That's the only Mahevu. I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
Mahevu. He said 10 kilometers from
so Sigatoka is right here.
So it has to be close somewhere there.
That's a good point. Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just a small little settlement.
Yeah. And it could have been an old settlement that no longer is there. So, okay. Good catch, Masi. I was all looking all the way up in Pulotu, and you brought me back. Hey, Shana, only 10 kilometers, not 10,000 kilometers. Up the river. Okay. 10 kilometers up the river.
Bele wakawati kina me wakawata kina matai ni maramani bitina turang ako. Yana toko abu nararawai. Di ko ni toko orto se toka na tani udiwai na sana baka na Valley Road na wala ka na Cornanduri. Tokin orto yabu.
I thought that was kind of interesting, right?
Mouse.
Wherever the Tongans go, they build mounds. That's just what we do, right? Polynesian culture, it's build mounds. And there's a whole civilization that dots the entire earth. And what do? They build mounds. So just kind of showing like this was just standard operating procedures. You go anywhere, you build your civilization, your spread of land. What do? You build mounds.
Kana koron duri. Tokinon to yavu. Angon ngo sarto bagay tiku tiku na koron rata na yasani tani uduway na unetu kinan tabuni hill. Na koron rata. Angon sala na kaba na sauru. Bawat takinan do na marama. Amanin dua sarakin na luwen. Na luwen na manibakat ko kumiyata na Andy Salut.
Thought the name was interesting, Tupo.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously from the Tuikano Kupolu lines, the Tupo name and Tupo the first. So interesting. I mean, you're definitely saying when you have those kinds of names, he ain't Joe Schmo back on Tongatapu. He's obviously someone of influence. And he's kind of revealing his family lines with that name for his daughter.
And I'm wondering now if he's like Christian because of the Salote part, or
Well, and that's what's interesting. They'll talk about it later on because when they, and you watch that video that you sent me, remember they have the mounds and they had like the sacrificial areas. I think in this video they say that the oral history says that the Tongans that were there were already believing in Christianity.
Oh. Okay.
And so they do mention that a little bit, right? That they're already, and there's actually a split. The war that actually destroys the fort was because of Christianity kind of dispute, but they'll get into it a little bit later.
Okay.
Salot itu po niku en bulat tiko na Kava. Kara bakay tiko niku en nakoro naroro tok rango.
Naroro. Let's look that one up.
Naroro. Yeah, it's just kind of right up the banks.
Yeah, it's just right next to the fort.
Yeah.
So that's that fort area.
Yeah.
Okay. 10-4. Okay. I'm just I mean, maybe I'm overdoing it, but I just like it so I can see where everything's at.
Are you able, I don't know if it's a big deal, but like, are you able to do like the, you do like the satellite view to show the landscape and stuff on the.
Oh,
I don't know if that.
Right there, Dua. You can go in the layers or no, other side. Right there. If you can click. Oh, no. You says layers right at the bottom.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
So right there.
It's going up that
we don't,
river. And
yeah, we don't see Marevu, but they say it's close by.
Right next to this. Yeah. So that would be roughly 10 kilometers because he says 10 kilometers up the river. So maybe something like that. Oh, so there's the sand dunes that the Fijian rugby team runs on a lot. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kay nakoro mali. Yan matain luben na naturangan ko. Oti ngai ni sa mate me bakanganon tay tobo na kaibiti. Tobon kaibiti daw soli na marama solibatan na kena tikiningeli. Oti ngai manituro tal na turangan ko en dua tala na marama ni nalangi na koronan tal. Arto manisulat talakin nando na tikiningele me tikina. Ne karuan manisudukin na karuan luben. Man adorbo mane bakato kay meta na orismo. Go arto kau maikinan na abu setong arto pakain na corona wamang. Ana sona kene waser to katala ngamen na koromali. Yan na ital na ang baleta na may sa may tiko na budang ko
Konua. Because remember, it said the Nadroga Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see where Konua is, which is almost like Fonua.
Yeah.
Konua.
Oh, that's even up north. So there's Konua right there.
So it's up further up the river.
Up even more. It's up
That's
here.
Mm.
So look at this. So what we're saying right now is up to Nandi. Look up the river here. Who knows how far up there? But dude, that's a significant portion of the island right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Sukiai.
Not just Lao.
Not just Lao. Not just Lao after all, right?
Yeah.
Ena tikina donua. Ena sana nanronga na bosa na kawa ni ko ena turanga go mailala kamai. Ko kada buti ko mai na mata wale bakatu tonga. Kami baka usa baka mata takau tini nitowo ni bonwongo obiti ni sanda usoli si sabakan dono donon rangone lewa me baka wata kan dona turang. Da usoli baka tu kena tikini. Kaya to usoli kina na turangan ni nalangi may na kornan rala. Dua na tikini ngeli usar. To baka tiku may kina may na korte may na budon may na korna umay. Kauta sombo may meado sara may na korna roro. Bulia so may na udi wa ngono Singapore meado may na korna roro. Kay tako so na be toka itungo me sireni.
There's that koro
enamba. May kortongo kangole dakiani me sibita na koro maliu me atabanin don na udi wa lele bato kay to na Bulu Creek. Na buna todo ko arto solia na turangan ni nalangi. Me endo baka to kay to na kena bosa baka nanrongan na leo ni kato. Ni soli na marama. Soli para tikon. Na leo ni kato Miguel kem sa kay to tikinan ko na yabusa tonga. En merdo menesingan ko. Mebakangan ni ngau na yang unan den resara lebu na be turanga be busar se bia bakai bi balutu nangone arto sama ni toso mekina na kawani maile arto sama tawana katiko na uli bonongo tabun nyotu da kena sengan ibunita kiri ko ndona ka.
One of the things as we go in here, I wanted to kind of just so you guys think of this is what was coming to my mind, Masi, and especially the video that you sent Maka as well when they talk about the different fortifications, how it was structured. You know what it reminded me of, Masi? Atu Imanua's settlement on Ta'u Island. Everything is visible. Like Tabuni means nothing is hidden. They can see everything. There's zero chance that you're gonna sneak up on them. Same thing with the Tuimanua settlement in that one area. Everything was about visibility, location, and being able to identify anyone coming. This Tabuni fort was built in almost the exact same way.
Why was it built? Was it because of the more of the inter warfare, or do you think maybe from forces from outside of Fiji? Maybe I don't know.
It sounded like he was saying just internal. The problem with Fiji is that it's just so big, right? There's advantages to being small. Right? And in Tongatapu is small. You can kind of maintain, but Fiji it was just so big.
Different groups too. You got Melanesians probably who are more dominant in that side, and they were like, just maybe a lot different cultural, and probably linguistically too. So
I mean, and you'll see here this fort stays in place. The only reason why it loses is because cannons.
Internal.
Well, it was cannons.
Cannons.
We'll hear about it later on. When no Fijian war party ever penetrated it. Well, traditionally, right? It was colonialists with this other group came with cannons and guns, and the fort fell because of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this for all intents and purposes, this was a pretty unbeatable fort based off of traditional technology.
And I was gonna say, like, just from like just how we learn in history from like strategic standpoints, like you just want to have they're just the where it's built, like you were saying, that's like strategic right there. Like rather than building it down in a valley by the river, you know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty cool.
Ni raya wala na mera siro may nabito kay tua may na Valley Road sera lako takian ni musin way mera lako takian. Ese tambo na kira rawan naka era kuni baka binaka tu. Ya na evia baka imbali tagi tipa na.
See nothing, you can see it, nothing is hidden.
Ayo sanga ni bunita kiento naka. Kuni tu baka binaka na uli bonongo. Kuni baka binaka tu na koro era tu kana uli bonwa. Era kuni talanga baka binaka ni soni lawa ni relapa ni meralaki baka ni jual. Sinto na kaya punta. Gai wanuan rendre talenga ni rambeti. Ni reida na kena tu baki sambo enon rasala tungango na udiwai.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's unpenetrable.
Gai tu sono nonra sala na bitoka itua. Ayo, mera sarakila tungu ire mera ndomuria. Na io tio timbe kanivalu ado ke ana ivalu ni sabaka tokai tu kome ivalu ni lotu baka tokai tu kone volai tu so ada god ni the little of 1876 yani ndona songo ni soli ilavo ni lotu baka tokai mbe kame baka missionary merenu bukeira na kauluto na irna missionaries daka main na koron dalambia na koron makao main na yawa era mani kadiva na songo ya na turanga na kalevu nara tausoliki na lewe ni iwan mongo na ron ngarto ngai ya bang berati ko na turanga nito ngarto tikitabun eba kanganira.
This is where the dispute comes from.
Taumbe kasona vosa rong zambe ka ndalingan ratu ni baltanirta ni rabulangi rangalomai rangai beratu na songo ni soli labun lutu. Sarmani bukilis talemayer na turango sa irangan nakau mele sa matikino maila. Arto
Fakafishe kau tonga ifisi. So I mean, and this comes back to what we were talking about earlier: is why would they be called to come and help missionary work unless there were some Christians there, right? And I said there's the other video that I saw that says that the oral history says that the Tongans were Christians, but it's kind of weird because they had, according to other people, there was a human sacrifice location. So I don't know, what the truth is if Midas leadership style was, hey, let the Fijians do their stuff. If they want to do human sacrifice, so be it. But we're gonna have our own. I don't know. It was just kind of different.
Yeah.
Lesumai nato sa may baka hindi balutali. Sarang besta kan isun lutu. Mersalis tali matangan ang onabikan kan. Kwani walu baka tagay chukon na Liru of 1876. Arto mani walu watakina kena mati walu.
I wanted to look up. I didn't look this up. I wanted to know who Kewa Levu is. But yeah, any thoughts so far while I look this up?
No, I mean I'll just go back to like what you said when is it Maile when he came in. I think you're coming to a new place and it's probably establishing. You kind of just probably let things go. Maybe even though they were doing that human sacrificing that was kind of against the Christian beliefs or what he had, but it was kind of he probably thought it wasn't a big deal, as he was probably worrying about other things like setting up forts and establishing his kind of governorship and influence, and maybe that was something that he can just tolerate in a sense. But yeah, just coming to a new area and stuff, so I can see that still being prevalent in Fiji, still in the what we're talking about 1876, or yeah, during that time. So,
Now I'm looking at it. I could be wrong about the timeline because I think this could put Mafu before or is this his descendants? It's talking about Maile Taimi currently, right?
These are his descendants. This is way after.
Oh, way after. Okay.
This is way after him. This is like his descendants. He's not even around. It doesn't sound like. I'm trying to just kind of figure out who this is, and I'll just share what I'm seeing here. It says Kewa Levu is a polity in Fiji that was in the heartland of the powerful Kewa Levu of Nakuru Varua, the paramount Nadroga. So Nadroga is let's try and see if we can find that, because when I search up the other one, let me see here. Let's share this.
because the guy with the historian is just sharing that 1876 was the last time that they had a war in that fort.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is that's the little war that led to the fort falling, which could be who knows how many generations after Maile or Maide. So it looks like Nadroga is just this whole district.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it looks like whoever the quote unquote most powerful, and according to this,
there's that Mavua, but we're looking at that Marawa, but there's that Mavua.
Mavua.
Yeah. Dude,
So
that's huge.
That's a large area right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Kawa Levu is a polity in Fiji. So it was the heartland of the power Kalevu of Nadroga, the paramount of Nadroga. The Kawa Levu was Naku Vuru Varua, has traditional connections with Rewa through marriage. So it has marriage to the Tongans in Rewa, according to one of whatever was installed as this guy because of his personality and good looks.
Rewa, what does that really mean? Because where I stay, Manu Rewa, that's a I don't know if there's any connection, but I'm just, what does Rewa mean in Fijian?
So it looks like, I don't know what that is in Fijian, but it looks like the Kawa Levu is, I guess, a title in Fiji. I don't know. Anyways, okay.
No translation, huh?
Yeah. Maybe we need a Fijian brother to do some translation for us.
Yeah.
But it's that army that comes with the cannons and the colonists, right?
So it's full on British army. They're full on British army that's fighting.
I don't know if it's the British army, but it's definitely the colonialists who have cannons.
Yes.
Right. See, the colonial army, muskets.
Oh, is the video going to?
Oh, my bad.
There we go.
So that's what you're saying. We'll come back just a little bit.
Mativalu. Terus ang amer to walu tekina mativalu non mativalu na kalit. Na ivalu sarangaya ako ang kay nabibuke.
See the so there's a colonial army.
Ni walangi non rasa bibuke may nantakay. Kasangay baka bu na mengay walala na korongo tabuni.
So we don't know how long that fort was pretty much sitting there, and obviously there was a level of confidence that whoever the heck you think you are, the Tavuni fort had not been overtaken. So they're like, hey, they're coming either because there's a relationship with this Kualevu, right? Because there's Nadroga coast, there's Tongans all along that coast, or descendants up the river. So in that region, there's a lot of Tongan settlements, and maybe they were coming because of that connection, and the Christian connection, the people in the fort, but then they get upset because they get reprimanded. But they were confident enough, like, well, forget you guys. I don't have to do what you guys are. I'm just trying to maintain our family relationships. I'm at the fort that hasn't been penetrated for decades or hundreds of years. Who knows, right? So, but they underestimated maybe the colonial army and the power of a
massive weaponry.
But yeah.
Sama ni baka mai kina koro radhe murina mewa ka ngani ra liu tali tu ngani ra tukwe kea so na turanga ni vitir to tikongo en dona turanga neda no rombula turanga ni tukwe na koro la salasi ko ya tal na takabea na dona ngona ni kerovi tal na ngona sembere tiko kina ni toyo utakina korongo na ngono seba so komuna tukene so ni tal no mbaletana koro makaunga turanga ibona tukune bena turango neda ngo ya won rombula eu saranga yang dona turanga au bagai tabine nona ya nona ya tukana ko ya mai bagai tabine balu tabun ni ko ya na ya kau mai na ngauna sakali baki no ko misal la ko mai na mati balu sa la ko nantakai sa pa ka mai na ko akan begitu Pak.
Aku mihono maui.
Lagi maui.
Yeah.
Bisa toka rason.
I don't know why. I'll just pause this, but I think we talked about this once, Masi. One of the most hilarious things that I remember growing up in Tonga, where there's the cry, everybody run for your lives, right? Is hearing a little kid getting the shellacking, and this is the one you'd always hear. Oh yeah, that I was like, that'll never get old, man. I don't know why. I would just crack up. Fano. That would be like the most desperate call for help. Yeah. And here I am. I look back now and I'm like, what an insensitive little punk I was. Because you hear the neighbor's kid, that just boom, boom.
Beating of his life.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, everybody's like giggling, and I was just like, that reminds me of that. Yeah, like water bears. Oh yeah. Awe fakapo, like but yeah, that just reminds me of that. It's like,
I'm sure you weren't the only one. Everyone was laughing.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and that's the thing.
That's
like
what we do.
Yeah, some people kind of say it's like insensitive, dark humor, but we just realize it's a part of life, man. And honestly, it's a little bit healthy in my perspective in some ways, because how else can you fight someone and then right after the fight just be friends? Because you just get over it, right? It's just like, hey, we just tried to kill each other, but it's nothing personal. We were just a little heated, It'll be like, maybe everybody was just a little bored, hang out, yeah. But that's what I mean. Like nowadays, people get upset and they get so offended, but they can't get over it. They can't get over it and be like, hey, it's all good. We can be friends. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
No, going back to what you just said right before, that the way I look at what you explained is like, that's releasing negative energy, like you let it out afterwards. It's kind of like, okay, yeah,
yeah.
But you hold it in, bottle it in, and I don't know,
explode.
I was just thinking. I think Mako, you kind of mentioned it. I think this whole thing stemming up, like you can fight somebody, and then next time you can be friends. It's stemming up when you would fight with a chief, and then the next or 2 weeks to a month you go the other side, you fight against the chief that you were fighting for,
Yeah,
and then you were
yeah,
still friends, but you can always change sides at the same
yeah.
time.
Yun. Ano ko
So
lang.
yeah,
Ano ko lang.
That's so
Nothing
funny.
personal. Nothing
nothing
personal.
personal. I'm
Yeah.
fighting
Oh,
with you on this fight, but this time I'm gonna fight against you the other week. So it's just part of those things you just gotta get over and don't hold
yeah.
grudges. Like
I know.
Ah.
That's that right there. Don't hold a grudge.
Hey, what do you think about that? That's a teacher, the
oh,
T-shirt
the
right there.
Polynesian switch.
Mm.
Yeah,
Polynesian switch. Kitang tongi pe. I was gonna turn
Yeah.
off the switch.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just turn it on and turn it off.
But
Yeah.
yeah, because
Hopefully
it does seem like what like Maka shared. Looks like it was pretty common, because even some of the George Mason stories, that a lot of people would switch sides when they had some
Yeah.
of these scuffles. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing personal. I allow ko palangi. Nothing personal. It's just business. Nothing personal. It's just war.
Yeah.
That's another T-shirt. Nothing personal. It's just war.
Yeah, that's the slogan right there.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Anyways, that I couldn't help. That's just something that popped up. Oh yeah, we see sulta kon mai. Wow,
Yeah.
inte mate. At Puni Fort.
na bukan akazi wa kweno na sana numira leoni korona ndro darambul mi ata bani reada na korona ndrala na bono na lang da bakangan ni ya sulimikin endo na turang endo na marama me mai wati na turango arto laki tango makiti ko mai kiana ne busotonga ena bukuni wana ni takaisa murir.
The Fijian war clubs, no match for the bullets.
the flying medal.
Yes.
Tutu kan endo na nondo na marama baka menondo to buti ko na ne busona langi baka to kai meta no lewat tabiti do na marama etu kuni kini talano nyoko ya na bana kede era na ngasau kede rabana takatu kan ngasau kede rabana takatu kan nerna na mate balu ramuri juga nya na maramango kwe tortongan do na iri nga iri bawal to na sa itu kuni kumbo walengana
powerful.
Kadang bote lala walanga na mata na maramango
why didn't the God protect them from losing in the first place?
Ne busa tong arato kana huli bunong ko tapon me ada besar ni rangai laki marroy nanduan na
sounds better than a straight up defeat.
Nang garabat
Yeah.
kata besar mai rewanga en ni kuasa tiken dona koro rewanga en loma ni bon watu ken dona garabat tu baka to kai me bukusia en garani sanango limbasi kana nusuni cukitalan dona arli maru itu lama ya nyata bani sautina ngono ni bibal boluti sara yata mesa pagandita ki na kena sa pakatite na kuspeli biti masalu tu pakarito sa listal na biloman sarang kay to sumay na gusto nga itong may takya para may pakay tiko-tiko may atay ni udway may tiko tale na narata may bakanya bonwayar kaumikin na matay ni watina na turango na sorat tu kana tanyo way may
see, so they just spread to all their families in the different villages.
Saramay bakay tiko-tiko na nakawan ni orismo ala saramay tiko-tiko may naumay sa ratos sumay na kawan ni
I mean, I think that covers the bulk of what I wanted to cover through that. But I mean, it just goes that the settlement, that's what kind of blew my mind, was the settlement and the really the expansion of the Tongan settlement or whatever was pretty extensive.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even include the Lao group and what was done there.
You throw Lao in there, that's a lot of territory.
That is.
See, and it finally, now it makes sense. You know, when we hear all the stories of, you know, whenever the Tongans wanted to go and learn of war and practice war, they would go to Fiji. They weren't just going to the Lao group, they were going to the mainland Fiji because there were Tongan colonies all over the place there. right? So they're going all over there. I mean that really now the stories of how, hey, if you wanted to learn war, you go to Fiji, you practice there, and you come back, and you're very seasoned, we're very knowledgeable. Because you would hear a lot of them go there, and then you would hear, oh yeah, they were super successful in Fiji. And I used to think, like, how were we super successful in Fiji? Like, you would have to take an army there, and all they said was him and 5 guys or 20 guys went, and they're over there like winning major battles. It could be they're just going and reconnecting with the guys in the Lao group. You're talking about Maile's descendants all up the Sigatoka River and on the coast, southwest coast of Vitilevu. I mean, they're just making connections with the Tongans there and leveraging them. I don't know. That's just kind of the things that came to mind.
Well, a little side note too. I know, weren't there a couple? I'm talking about, this is probably several hundred years before this, but like I know there were a couple. Weren't there a couple like 3 Tongas assassinated by Fijians, right? In Tonga, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Couple Javiers. There was like Javier and another Javier. But I'm talking about, like, there's been relationships for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Tonga's been in Fiji for
a long time. Yeah, so I know one of the I know any other comments on the video or just the idea itself, any other thoughts?
I did. No, I just I increased my knowledge. I didn't know it was that significant. I knew there were some Tongan settlements. I didn't know how significant it was, because I think you showed a map earlier, kind of that whole region of whatever, the Kawariwa, kind of that whole Sitako River, Sigatoka River. That and then even some stories he's saying spreading to Nandi, and why not Lautoka? Like, you're talking about the whole southwestern side of the biggest island in Fiji have strong ties to Tongatapu.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I increased my understanding definitely of the geographical landscape of Fiji, of where Tongan settlements or influence was pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's not just the Lao group. Yeah.
So if I remember correct, so you have this whole thing right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Lao group right here. We already talked about Kadavu right here has a Tongan, and then you're basically cutting this whole section right here.
Yeah,
Tongan influence at the very least here. Where was Bao?
Bao was in that Suva maybe,
over here.
Yeah, just that region.
Okay. So this
I just know. Yeah.
So, dude, that's so basically, and then the Rewa guys are over here.
Yeah.
That's and if you have you guys seen pictures of Bao?
Yeah.
Bao?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He kind of looks like Alfahawa a little bit. Almost.
Yeah, he looks Polynesian. So if we're saying this is where the Bao area is over here, right? This is where Maile and all his descendants are over here, and the Rewa chiefs are over here. That's why Bao is talking to the Tuitonga. I mean, it makes sense to me now why these conversations are happening. Right? Is Bao, he looks like he's Polynesian, right? And then, if I remember correctly, Ma'afu has a couple bases or like couple areas here on the coast that Ma'afu has, and then you have the Lao group. You have this section over here. The Tongans were much more widespread than I ever thought. I had always just thought Lao group. That was about it. Right? I mean, it's extensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it goes on to the question of, like, even when, like, I kind of mentioned it before, and this could be the transition to this part, but like, whakawhisi is more of a weak term in Tongan, when the way Tongans use it. So I don't know when Tongans, when guys like Maile or Matamai, when he goes over, maybe it was just he was so confident, influences, like, whakawhisi, I don't know, they're not that bad. I don't know, because and maybe that word has carried on to some sort, to, because even to now, when you feel like you're giving up and you're doing, don't whakawhisi, don't be a whakawhisi way. Don't do it. I don't know, but I'm just saying that could have the root word of where Fagafisi kind of comes from. If you're talking about, we're not talking about this Latamai guy, but then there's the Maafu guys who just
Yeah.
it seems like there was no kind of barriers or guys that were really obstructing their advances into new settlements
Yeah.
everywhere they were going. So I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there with the root word. I'm
Yeah.
not too
Yeah. Yeah.
sure of the Fagafisi, but I'm just saying this could make sense where
Masi,
that word
Well,
Fagafisi can
I'm
mean.
gonna have to push back on you, man, because look at what Jay said.
man.
Saleh!
Hey, hey, right there. I'm gonna have how Tonga say, David, my malaka.
Well, hello, Jay. Like they
Hey.
always say, like they always say in Samoa, Polo, alofa kere aku, Jay, alofa.
Man.
Here we are talking about reality, and Jay comes
Yeah,
from it.
Man.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was that's what I was referring to. That I don't know. That's my thoughts on just regarding that history of Tongans just
Yeah.
kind of going over, and because like what you mentioned, throughout there's already a lot of Tongans. So it makes sense because Tonga, for the most part, didn't have. It was very socially structured in a way for many years, very peace. So I
Mm.
can understand many males if they want to
Mhm.
go and do some fun or just want to maybe just let out energy. This is the place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Uh,
That's just my thoughts.
no, I'll add to what Masi was saying because I don't know if you guys know about we've all heard of Ukalala, right? So
Mm,
Yeah.
like Ukalala, we're usually talking about Mariners Ukalala, which was actually the second Ukalala. You know what I mean?
mm,
But there's a story of how Ukalala first got his name in the first place because so Ukalala, my little area of specialty, the genealogy
mm,
part stems from the Tuikanok Polu, so like
Mm.
mm,
the fourth Tuikanok Polu, his name was Mataileha Mea. One of his sons' name was Tuitu Yohu. And Tuitu Yohu was the father of the first Ukalala or Ukalali Malfunga. That's the first one. But there's a
mm,
story that goes that he ordered his son to go to Fiji not to negotiate or anything, but go over there and steal one over there. And they say that's where the Ukalala first got his name because Ukalala is not really a Tongan word. But I
mm,
guess I don't know what part of Fiji, but the story goes he got to Fiji. Again, it's oral history. Some of it might be true, some of it might not be. But anyways, he got to Fiji, and the Fijian warriors or whatever he was fighting never saw some kind of because they were used to like guerrilla war tactics. But this
mm,
is the first time, I don't know if this is in Latu Kefu's book, but it was talking about like first time they seen something called like the Tongans called it Tau Tapuholo Mui or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They'd say
mm,
he was just out of his mind, crazy. We never seen anyone
mm,
like he's gonna fight till he died. But he went over there and fought. Apparently that's where he got his little name or whatever from, and then took some Kalias back to Tonga, you know what I'm saying? But kind of
mm,
just going to what you're saying, Masi, maybe
mm,
that's what that Urukalala thought was like. Yeah, let's go over here, fight these dudes and take some Kalias and take it back to Tonga, like nothing.
mm, mm,
I don't know,
mm.
No,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because there are certain. I mean, I don't know where they happen, but I've heard certain stories similar to what you're saying, Maka,
Yeah.
where it was you're not just there to be what's the word I'm looking for? Strategic. You're coming there and you're wiping out the whole place, right?
Yeah.
You're just coming up like you're saying. It's just wiping up the whole place, and stories of certain battles in Fiji where that was the case.
Mm,
But I'm gonna have to rethink because I've always kind of said like, oh, Fiji is more Melanesian. But the more we're having these discussions and we look all of this,
yeah.
half of Viti level, parts of what's these islands up here called? Sorry. So all of this, half of this, and then I
Mm,
also know Ma'afu had certain influences up here in
Vanua
the
level.
coast.
Vanua level. Not a whole chunk, but so he had certain
Like
spots here
some
and there.
Basa or something, right? Or
Yeah.
Mm,
Basa.
mm,
Like now I'm thinking, it's like, no, then I guess if you really take into totality, you could say really Fiji is Polynesian once you look at
mm,
the extensive influence that Tonga had in there. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
now it makes more sense why you would say
mm,
Fiji is Polynesian, even though
mm,
there's a Melanesian population there. But
Yeah.
if we look at just the overall influence, one
Yeah.
could make that. And then Wallace and Futuna is over there.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
well,
yeah,
that's the question. But was some of the oral history that I've found out that Polynesian was not the first in the Fiji Islands. Maybe the Melanesians were already. I don't know. That's what
yeah,
I know, or were the Polynesians first there? Because I just understand from my what oral history was, all the Polynesian islands were Polynesian, like Wallis, Futuna, Tonga, were all Eastern Polynesia up to Hawaii were first settled people. First people set foot were Polynesians. But from my understanding, I thought like Fiji was one of the few that was Melanesians were already there, but Tonga, just because of maybe advanced civilization, were able to kind of just like this guy, this Latamai guy, was just going over and establishing his influence because he was
okay.
Yeah.
much more advanced. But I don't know. I could be wrong. If maybe the Polynesians were first there in Fiji, but I don't know. I'm not
Do
too
you
sure. But I
guys
don't know what
see that?
Melanesian.
What the heck is this?
Tuvalu, Tonga.
Tuvalu.
That's another Polynesian island. Tuvalu.
Yeah. Huh.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Is that another supporting evidence right there?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. I just never.
Yeah.
How
Maafa,
Look at that. Vaitupu.
Vaitupu.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey, Jay. I'm pretty sure that Tui Manua was here too. I just don't see the name. I'm sure it's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Yeah.
there.
I think whoever the Tonga dude that brought it over here brought the Tui Manua with him. It said, hey, stay right here.
Let me see here. So what I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting.
I think to Masi's point, like well, obviously if you just look at it physically, Fiji's it's the vicinity, you know what I mean? It's just right there. It's not too far. So I mean, there could have been people, I mean, obviously there before Polynesians or whatever, but because it's so close, they just dealt with each other for so long. Maybe longer than we would have thought, So but just to think of the story of Maile Latamai is kind of like, his descendant there, I'm not trying to argue with him, but going from what the sources I got is kind of like, let's just say if he was exiled or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy that he would just, let's go over here, check this out,
Yeah.
before any knowledge. We don't really have any knowledge before anyone settling there, but he just happened to just show up out of nowhere and just like, let's go down this river and then, take these little, let's settle here and settle there. Kind of like, that's just pretty crazy to think of.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's one thing to travel, right? It's one thing to be like, oh yeah, we can go to. It's one thing to show up and set up social structure, military structure, right? A fort that lasts multiple generations. That is kingdom building, if you want to call it that. That is knowledge that's why, I mean, when you hear stories of like, oh, Tui Manua, some people, like we saw that Micronesian thing, right? The Tui Manua, they don't talk about Tui Manua establishing a political, social structure or ruins. They just say, oh yeah, a guy showed up from Samoa, it was the Tui Manua. Now, when you talk about the Tui Tonga, it's a whole different thing. There are ruins, there are structure, there are settlements, right? There is constant movement. It's you just can't put it at the same level, right? I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting to is, yes, you can navigate, you can travel, but to set up a political, a social, and even a militaristic regime or structure, that's the next level. It's different. I mean, to me, that's a different way of looking at the world, right? And the only way you do it is because you've seen it done before. And that's why you can do it so quickly. The only way Maide, is it Maide? The only way he could do that so quickly is because he's seen it done before. Right? Like, that's the only way. Within his lifetime, he builds a fort. He has multiple settlements, right, throughout Fiji. And then he sets up a fort and he's intermarrying. He understands. I guarantee you, he wasn't just marrying random women from these villages. He's like, hey, who's the most strategic marriage that I can have that gives me social stability, political influence, something that allows me to establish myself. This is the same thing the Europeans were doing when they were marrying between the kings. It was what builds me the best alliance, what resources in these areas that I will have access to. This is what are coming back. That's why I want to do that video with the Saudi Arabian king and Arnold Palmer. It's a different way of thinking. If you understand how to build a nation, how to build stability, build alliances, that's how you come in and you can establish yourself. Right? You're just thinking at a different level. That's different than, oh, my boat can reach Vitilevu or whatever. So what? Everybody can get a boat and reach there. The question is, can you establish an organization that is thinking like a king, right? Because he comes from a kingly line. They say he was a prince. You know, you have an entourage going with you. I mean, that to me is what I'm trying to say is the important part. Everybody's like, oh, the navigation here. Yanna, everyone can fly around the world on a plane today. Not everyone can build a multi-billion-dollar empire like Uncle Donald. That's a different level. Different level. Just because you can fly places doesn't mean you're on Uncle Donald's level.
Yeah. I wonder your both thoughts, because it seems like this Maile guy has ties to the Tuikangpolu dynasty. Was he kind of the same thing? Was it kind of the same situation as Ma'afu, or do you think this was a more serious thing that he was kind of banished from Tonga to kind of go, or was this more like a Ma'afu situation? I don't know.
So
I don't know.
I can.
Yeah.
Well, I can read you what. So there's a book called Tongan Society at the Time of Cook's Visit. You ever heard of that? It's by a lady named Elizabeth Bott. But a lot of her sources are taken from Queen Charlotte and other people that she went to. She didn't just make this stuff up. So majority of the book is not really. She just kind of puts it in her words.
She's just recording down what she hears.
Pretty much. But there's a section that mentions Maile Lakamai, and I'm going to just read exactly what it says in this book. It said that he disgraced himself by seducing Latu Fuipeka, who was like a Tamaha at that time, and was exiled to Fiji. That's what it says about him, and that's it. You know.
Okay.
So,
the Maha of the Tuitonga.
Tuitonga, yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that will get you. You know, if you notice, Nova Fakasuva, Fakafisi, everything with that kind of behavior, he kind of leads to points to Fiji in one way or another.
Okay. No, because I'm more familiar with some more of the stories of the Tuitonga and the Tuihataga, but I'm not familiar with too much of the Tui Kangpo, so I appreciate that, Maka, because I had no idea. So it seems like his one was a lot more serious than Ma'afu, because Ma'afu was more of that Tongan etiquette of just saying, okay, it's just not good to be here because I don't want to be a barrier or what make things or to kind of divide power. Stuff for how it's gonna take you, so he just kind of does his own. And okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Not 100%. 100%. How about what are your thoughts? No, there's a good point here from Tongan style. Another part of the Tongan kind of approach is you set up the system and then a tributary system, right? Inasi, Polo Polo, and how that sets back. And then George is on fire today.
Man.
So ultimate, it gives you a free ticket to Fiji.
Hey.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get a little bored.
Yeah. And you guys know the whole Tamaha's like that's probably somebody he shouldn't have been, trying to seduce. But George is just saying he's just being a man of a lot of men do. Like I messed up, I'm getting kicked out. But I was gonna ask you guys what you thought about or if you have any knowledge of like do you know if some of these guys might have been able to speak Fijian or something, right? Because
absolutely.
This guy's showing up, marrying this girl from this village, marrying this girl. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like they had to been able to communicate somehow, or got the language down or something. Yeah.
No,
and I know there's different dialects too. You know what I mean? So
yes,
PGP so big, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's another interesting question is just because he's a more prominent name from Tonga Tapu going there, that doesn't mean that there wasn't already pre-existing Tongan influence, right?
Yeah.
There's you got the people in the Lao group that are speaking Fijian, probably guys going back and forth learning war. Maybe there were already people because they would say, like with the Tuiha Falatai, they would go and stay with certain villages. And so obviously someone is knowing how to speak Fijian. So I agree. There must have been some kind of connection of some sort.
Yeah, it would be cool to just ask your dad to see what he knows, because I know he would know more about those couple Tuitongas that got it, because there was two I know that were assassinated by Fijians. Not the assassination part, but this has to be like around, I'm guessing 1400 or something, but like meaning there definitely was some kind of relationship way before these guys were even there. But
well, and that's what I do know is a lot of times the Tuitonga would have his sister and sister's kids married to Fiji. That was a very common practice. That's what I'm saying. And so that is something that was very common. And one would assume that the Tuitonga doesn't want anyone in Tonga marrying his sister or sister's kids, so that in his own nuclear family, achy above him from another family. So he would almost always have his sisters and their kids married to Fiji a lot, is what I hear.
I'll tell you, so here's where my little genealogy, my actual family the whole because you got these names in Tonga like Fila Kepa, Tuila Kepa, you know what I'm saying? And so we have in our little genealogy thing where involving, like that's where it would be cool to talk to your brother Danny, the connection to Fiji, where the whole Fahu thing and all that kind of stuff, with how the first like Tuitonga Fifine, who was the first Tamaha. But some records, I mean, again, your father would probably correct me on this and might know a little more, but like from my understanding, like the first Tuila Kepa was a product of, or was because of a Urakimata or Telea. Telea had a daughter named Sinaita Kala Ilangileka, who was most records agree that she was the first Tuitonga Fifine, and then married to a guy named Tapu Osi from Laos somewhere, I think in Lakemba or something. And then their son's name was Fonomanu, who was considered the first Tuila Kepa, and that's where that line comes from.
That's where it comes from.
To tie into what you're saying about the marrying into the Fijians and not a Tongan, because how they say the Tongans wouldn't have, Tongans weren't allowed to marry royalty or whatever during those times.
Hey, looks like we lost Mr.
Masi.
Atero.
Yeah.
Alo masi hetau.
Alo masi
fisi o.
Oh yeah.
Otawai. Hey, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, this was actually. I mean, I was kind of shocked when I saw this video and I was listening to it. I was like, man, this is extensive.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is no little. It really changed my perspective on the relationship of Tonga and Fiji, because I always just kind of felt like, oh, it was just
just
a warrior, just kind of Hey, Masi, sorry, somehow we lost you, but
Mate laptop. Yes, I just got
plugged it in.
The laptop couldn't handle the storyline. He's like, oh yeah, wait. But yeah, I mean, this was really insightful. I wanted to I really appreciate you, Maka, bringing this up for this discussion. Yeah. I think this was extremely educational.
Yeah, and great inputs. It's good to have people, like I said, I'm not well versed in the Tuikan Polu side and stuff. Some of those connections, it helps kind of fill in the gaps and puzzles just to gives understanding on some of the oral history and stuff, and just going through the stories and settlements too.
Yeah, and for anybody watching, I don't want nobody to think, so we talk about, they saying talking about Fia Ake or Fia Mip. I'm just talking about the family. I'm just talking about
we're just having a conversation
and the connections to this is the Fijian part, So just pretty cool to see that it wasn't just, but it's cool to see it wasn't just Lao. It was,
Yeah,
the islands that we didn't really think about. You know?
Big Island. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, Masi, we almost had a revolt. Oh yeah, where people were upset. Hey, it wasn't me, George. It wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Man. My bad, but I'm back. I'm back.
We're back. We're back. Well, I have another video that we can watch to kind of close out the live Kava session for today. This one is on a positive note. I think this is a Samoan guy who does like fashion design stuff, and he's been pretty successful. I think he had it in like Saks Fifth Avenue. Some high-end stores have carried some of his designs. I think he grew up in California. Did you know this guy, Maka? It seems like are you familiar with him?
No, but I know the story and everything. And there's the area he's from apparently is like that he's apparently from is like there's a lot of with the gang culture. It caused a lot of there was a big disconnect between the Samoans from that area and the Tongas from where I grew up, just because of the gang thing. You know what I'm saying? So. And then it's to a point where some of them never had Tongan friends, never knew how Tongans are, not realizing until they get locked up in prison or whatever, realize like
we got to stick together, man.
we got to stick together, but it's like we like the same food, we have the same family values, all that kind of stuff. They don't realize it until they get in there.
Yeah.
Is that still a problem even up to now, Maka, or is that just back in the day, or has it been calmed down now?
Well, because I've been out here in Salt Lake for a while. It's still, I can't account for every single individual. You know what I'm saying? But
you're always gonna get some people talking mahino. You can't avoid that.
That's obvious. Yeah.
But I do know it's a lot better now than it was, 10 years ago. Definitely better. But I'm pretty sure it's not like we're all buddy and all friends. But there's people like this guy trying to make a difference, and that's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like we should be putting that aside and like work together and how they say get this money, or let's help each other out, get successful, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, like rather than trying to kill each other, which is crazy.
It is crazy because it's the same family, it's the same people, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to I think this was a good way to kind of bring it together because Jay, we love you, even though you are, out in the stars. We're trying to bring you back in, and who knows? Hey, just in the wild chance that you're right. Regardless, Jay, we appreciate you being here. But let's listen to what his message is, and then just kind of have that be our closing thoughts video here.
Is that this moment, from a cultural standpoint, especially being here, we made it a breakthrough. I was born and raised here. I never got to build relationships with my Tongan brother and sister. Barry don't know that it wasn't until this year that I met them. We're going to change them. And it was instrumental and symbolic of us coming here, where that pain started. Because out of all people, when we all migrated from the island, it should have been us that teamed up with, congregated with, and built with. We didn't. Unfortunately, so many lives taken because of this nonsense. So I waited, Barry, and kept coming. Because I knew this was going to be symbolic of a change of community. Never has this ever happened here. And we're going to change that, especially for you now. I didn't grow up there. And I want you guys to take this as the young one. It's the start of a new journey.
Yeah.
Dang, so it sounds like it was pretty bad, for a long time.
Let's just say, we'll just say, you know, we'll just say lives have been lost like that bad on both
Mm-hmm.
sides, you know, and just as a natural reaction, like if you got a loved one that was lost because of this, you're gonna have animosity, hard feelings, and it's gonna take a while to heal. So that causes a back and forth. But how he was saying, it's gonna take, you know, those guys will be the leaders now for the next generation and be like, yo, we need to get together and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was, I mean, it was bad though, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, good on him. Good on him.
Yeah.
Just takes one person to just spark that change, and then everybody can, start making their inward movement to make things better.
Man.
Because at the end of the day, we are 0.03 in the census in America.
Yeah.
So
Not
yeah.
even 1%.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if you think like that in that perspective, hopefully you can understand, and then understand the history of Polynesians and us being one. That would help. That would go a mile. But hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Tua.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's at the end of the day, we just, like we said, it's the same family. Nothing is more sad than internal fighting within a family.
Yep.
Right.
That's
I
for
mean,
sure.
that's and when push comes to shove, at the end of the day, we're all gonna look around and like you said, we're 0.03% of the population. You find yourself in a tough spot. All of a sudden, you realize, man, these are the guys that I probably should be relying on. Why am I fighting with them? Right. And we all come from the same people, and we were all, I still believe it, we were all one Polynesian nation. And I think that's something we need to remember, something we need to bring back. And I think we're already heading in that direction, in my opinion. Hopefully it can maintain that momentum. But I thought that was a good way to end it. With that being said, Maka, any closing thoughts? Then Masi, and then we will close out the show. But any closing thoughts, Maka?
No, just appreciate you having me on here again, and you and Masi, and thank you for letting me get involved and putting my little inputs, my little 2 cents in it, and appreciate you represent my radar head on the show. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the Foblanders everywhere. 801 Mile High out in Denver, 310 out in LA. Shout out to all my Fobland people, whoever's watching it later, whatever, but yeah. And like you said, at the end of the day, man, we got to stick together, support each other.
100%.
And, all the polys, or, say polys, is because, what I'm talking about. And at the end of the day, it should be all love, and let's keep it moving forward. So, but yeah, appreciate y'all, man.
Malo Maka. Masi.
Enjoyed this episode. Always enjoy the inputs from Maka and his perspective. Also enjoy the let's just keep we can always have fun in our little rivalries here and there, because there were scuffles even in the back of the days. But let's just keep that in the entertainment and boxing and the rugby and football and all. Just keep it on that. No need to take someone's life, because at the end of the day, we're 0.03%. In the we got just always keep it fun, because our history has also said we had little scuffles here and there. It wasn't perfect, and that's like a family. No family's gonna be a perfect family. It always little scuffles, but at the end of the day, majority of our journey together is always gonna be a nice, settled one when we work together, because we can all rise up together as one. But appreciated Tua providing the platform, so we can just have a conversation, talk story, and just add whatever input we have, and then maybe help others and take it for what it is. That's just our inputs. But yeah, mahalo.
I'm gonna break the rules. Apparently, I'm a rule breaker today. We didn't get to Floyd Mayweather and stuff, but the discussion here reminded me of one last video. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this video, right? But I think this summarizes, and it'll be my my video here. But just this is what I think summarizes what we're talking about real quick.
There we go. Yeah.
Hey. That's what we're talking about right there. Right? Nothing wrong with a little rivalry.
They're learning how to control the switch right there. Turn it on, turn it off.
Exactly. You know, little bump off, little shoulder in there, but at the end of the day, same family, same people. Appreciate your time, Maka and Masi. The check is in the mail. You know, you guys are making so much money coming on the show. So appreciate everyone's time. And I was appreciate the opportunity to look into this, Maka, and for bringing it up. And like everyone, appreciate all the viewers. Here we are. We're 30 strong here at 2:00 in the morning Central Time. Really appreciate everyone's support. Once again, every like, every share, every comment goes a long way. And as always, as we close every program, we say stay curious. And if your curiosity is eventually leads you to eat some humble pie, like we talked about earlier, if we end up finding out we're wrong, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with being wrong. What matters is if you're wrong, you accept it and you follow it. We're just seeking the truth. So stay curious, ask the bold questions. And until next time, stay safe. Until the next one. Malo.
Malo.
Peace.